You're live, it says. Hello, everyone.
We're just gonna gloss over that.
Yeah, we are just going to gloss over that. Hello, everyone, and welcome to my weekly stream. It just happened to fall on July 4th, so I hope you guys don't mind that I'm not particularly in a festive mood this week. So I thought instead I would start earlier. Might even still go for, until my usual end time anyway. We're gonna see how much energy we have going into this. You may notice that there is a slightly different program up on the screen. YouTube is not receiving enough video to maintain smooth streaming. As such, viewers will experience buffering. Exactly what do you want from me?
Your soul.
That goes without saying, honestly. So, anyway, you may have heard that there's some other people in call with me. I currently have Griffin.
Here we go!
I'm scared to introduce Alex.
I'm just gonna say hello. There's nothing I can possibly do to top that. I'm scared for my life.
Mood.
So, the thing that we're looking at right now is this thing called Townscaper. It's actually still technically in beta. I think this is like early access kind of thing. I've been enjoying playing around in it. I may as well even show you my first attempt where I was literally just dicking around and playing with the architecture to see what I could do with it. It is actually a lot of fun. Actually really intuitive. So, like, I'll show you where I started, which was over in this little patch over here, which had a couple of buildings, had a couple of, like, very simple stuff, and then I decided to build myself some mansions. And then I was like, well, let's keep going, and let's see what this town can do. What can I build with all of this?
It's so colorful.
It is. Yeah. They have a lot of different options here. So, like, then I started doing, like, some creative, I'm so good at figuring out the controls, like figuring out how to create bridges between buildings and so forth. God. And then,
sorry, I was just gonna say, like, I may be a bit biased, but I am just a major fucking sucker for the aesthetic of, like, island and port towns. Like, things like this are definitely my jam.
God, yeah.
Sorry for the flyby controls here. So this is an example of some of the more creative architecture that I was working on while I was doing this.
Yeah.
Am I not allowed to show it? I mean, come on. Where does it think I am?
The United States, where no one has rights.
Look, don't.
Listen, we're not talking about the United States today. It's NEP today.
Okay. Anyway, so I got some interesting things here where I started, like, taking chunks in and out of buildings. And then I got towers.
I was gonna say, I really dig that gazebo tower.
Yeah. And then, like, you can even see, I tried to even keep it all color-coded to, like, which buildings I see as being connected. And I'll even show how a lot of these end up working, but you can see that I was having some fun just being creative towards the end here. And I don't know why this building had to be like this. This is banana building here.
If you can't be accurate, you're sure as hell going to be extra.
Yeah.
Then you would love Venice, Griffin. I'm sure he'd... Yeah. Honestly, I would love it more if it weren't actually legitimately sinking into the sea.
Yeah.
Just as a personal thing.
Always preferable.
Yeah, I mean, because here's the thing. I spent about, like, 3 or 4 years, rather, living in a fishing village in Northern California.
You love telling this.
Coastal. Yeah. And so I've grown to have a major appreciation for the aesthetic of these types of buildings and towns and all that.
So, I'm gonna go to my new town, and this is... Thankfully, the game itself is not particularly full of music or anything. Goodness knows there might be more of that later. So what I'm actually using this for, and this isn't necessarily something that's a spoiler, but I am working on building a town to serve as a map for a potential upcoming D&D session that y'all may know about or hear about soon. Those of you who are in call with me know exactly what it's for.
Ooh.
Yeah. And see, now I'm reminded of another like coastal island I visited, because like Phoenix mentioning Venice reminded me of when I visited the island of Guernsey when I took a trip to the UK many years ago. Gorgeous, absolutely stunning island. It costs an arm and a leg to live there, though. I think
it costs
like
a lead to be there.
Yes.
Oh no, absolutely. Maintenance things on Gurney is ridiculous.
Yeah, because I mean, from what I understand, like the primary source of income for Guernsey, or the primary market on Guernsey, is real estate, and I believe some of the the inland cottages and stuff can get upwards of like maybe £3 million.
Yeah, something like that. I'm not your local real estate agent, but it is those sort of the small islands off the coast can get real expensive.
Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, it just looks fucking gorgeous, and it's home to the the famous Guernsey cows that produce that high quality milk. They've got a lot of coastal areas that are beautiful, great restaurants. They have like surfing lessons there.
Before we get too much into the stories, I did actually want to talk about this game as I was playing it.
Oh, of course, I apologize.
Oh, please do.
No, that's fine. It's great to have anecdotal stuff, but you usually bring up, one, the coastal town, and also, two, all of the places that you have ever been, ever.
You didn't need to at the man like that.
I did. So, I see this as basically being like the front gate to this town, hence why it's like, two towers crossing over it. This is not necessarily like the only thing that leads into the town. Like, I could see this being an open area, but this is basically what will probably be welcoming players into the town. Now, let's see. Zoom. This is fun to kind of try and navigate. So, this is actually looking to be something of a marketplace over in this area here with a couple of major buildings. I see this one, for example, being like a major merchant's guild type building. I might be expanding on what might consist of the overall market. So this is basically the house of the wealthiest people in the town. And you can tell because it's the biggest and the tallest and it has the most birds on top of it. This is where I started getting a lot more into the having fun and playing around with the architecture. Because I loved having this set of stairs. Like, that even happened completely by accident. A lot of these things are kind of auto-generated, as a matter of fact. And then as I built up the building a little bit more, I started out with a basic sort of shape, and this retains the basic sort of shape. But you notice that it's somewhat hollow in the middle here.
Yeah.
And I left like a main central area that this is. I created these little balconies. Like, it automatically creates a lot of this stuff, so I can even show how that even happens.
Nice.
So we've got the wealthier district over here. And this is, again, residential areas with some more wealthy buildings out to the side. I am having a hard time speaking because I decided to eat cheese today. I suppose when am I not eating cheese? So if I sound like my voice is breaking, that would be why.
You went full Alphys there.
It will be nice to have someone on call whose voice is breaking who isn't me.
Listen.
Oh my god, why are all of these birds here? No, I just noticed.
Down.
No, but look at them.
Yeah.
Look, this is an infestation. Why are you all on this one building?
You look me in the eyes and tell me pigeons are anything but an infestation.
But they're... Oh, shit.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
No, I accidentally removed some of the ground.
They weren't using it. It's fine.
Well, the birds weren't, that's for sure.
Well, that's just it. They are, apparently. So, let's see. So
God,
this is very residential over here. We've got lots of different buildings, and I'm slowly building up where all of the streets kind of are. Getting, again, to bigger houses the further away from the front end of the actual city town area is. Including this funky thing over here, this giant blue thing on its own little island.
Excellent.
So, to even just get started with how to expand on all of this, it's, again, very, 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 very super simple tools. Literally, quick ones. Now, I will love to see the day when you can actually create multiple levels of ground versus multiple levels of house. But as it is, you basically create just the foundation, and then your next click automatically just build a house. And then you can build it out to the side, for example, and then it will actually automatically generate all of the supports that it needs to in order to look like a house that should actually belong there. Alternatively, you can build it out to the side, for example, like that. That's kind of cool. And then if you have it next to another building, you can click on that thing, or you can click on that thing that expands it into the next square.
Man, like,
And then it actually creates this whole huge balcony between these two buildings.
I am all for, because I know, like, from a just sensibility standpoint, it's not all that, like, good an idea, but I fucking love the aesthetic of, like, houses that have, like, a series of legs, holding them up in the water.
Anyway, buy house.
Yes.
So,
I'm trying to build a
Keep on with your
marketplace over here. So, like, that big... No, don't want a building there. So that big Merchants Guild thing being here is basically like, this is where you would first start doing all of your trade stuff. That's why if these buildings are here. And I'm going to actually toss it around at some point. Bird Pandemic? No, that's not quite it. Reminds me of a movie with a swarm of menacing birds. There's technically Hitchcock's... What was it? Birds?
The birds, yeah.
The
But I think they're
birds.
specifically referring to Birdemic.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
surprising the number of films about swarms of birds.
Yeah.
It's almost like
Well, I
we're
mean-
instinctively afraid of swarms of things.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
that's
almost as
fair.
if birds are shit.
No.
Don't be mean to birds.
You were mean to me first.
This is a
No.
bird positive channel.
Also, I think I'm gonna turn down the main audio for the game a little bit. Like, it may just be fine, but, like, also... I noticed that the more I'm clicking and creating background noise, the harder it is to hear you guys on my end. I was also referring to Birdemic, yeah. I
Alright.
think that's... yeah. Okay. So, like, I set up this patch of ground. You may notice that it doesn't exactly come out perfectly even. I can actually, if I want to, pull up a grid, which can show the direction of any of the potential building. Now, there does seem to be a limitation. I've seen it expanding a little bit as I build it out, but, like, generally speaking, it does expand the more you build on it. But, anyway. So, I set up the foundation. I've been doing it kind of somewhat at random. So again, if we have this whole area that is meant to be like... Because here's the thing. I say that this is going to be like a marketplace. I'm not actually going to put buildings on it here. What I'm going to do is I'm eventually going to get this all... You know, a nice little overhead shot like this. I'm going to put take a screenshot of it, basically. Put that into something like Clip Studio, which is my main art program. And then add anything there that I can't automatically make here.
Like tents and
That's a good
things.
idea.
Yeah. That's actually one of the reasons why I even got this, was because, like, this is a great map builder, actually.
Yeah.
That's literally what it is. So,
And if you need, like, shots for specific areas, like you want a proper sort of POV shot for, like, atmosphere, then that you don't even need to generate anything new for that.
Yeah. Also, the more I look at the architecture here, the more I'm actually reminded of Inverary, Scotland, only in Technicolor. Because all the buildings are like this, except just white and black.
I'm just in love with the art style of this game.
Yeah.
I can't believe I have never seen this before.
Yeah, I didn't know about it until...
Yeah, it apparently only just came out, even.
Oh, fair enough.
Yeah. So let's see. Alright, so there's the Merchants Guild. If this is like a marketplace, I may want to put a building over in this area.
Yeah.
So, let's see. Let's go with green. So I may as well show, like, the basic... Well, that's not what I meant to do. Okay, so you get, like, say, your first level house, right? Completely flat. You then have this raised up platform here. And actually, that could work as a way to build ground stuff.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Wow. That is pretty cool.
So, like, let's see.
I love the little detail of, like, there being, like, a little ladder, like, before, a little ladder with a door heading down to the sand at the back of the building.
Yep.
Yeah.
It automatically generates those things, as well as things like the trees, lights, doors, windows, and stuff like that. What about dry docks for trade stuff? I would have no idea how to actually set up something like a dock. The only thing, any of the tools, any of the ability to create stuff, you've already seen me use it.
That's honestly fair enough.
I can probably create, like, I was even thinking that some of the docks might be, I think I can probably put them out, probably in that direction, actually. That would make sense for docks for, like, trade and things.
Yeah. Yeah, and I like the aesthetic of having that single multi-level building as sort of a resource center for the marketplace. So we're like, it has like the clear area where everyone can set up tents, but like for checking in and establishing things, working out paperwork, they have to go to this building.
Maybe. Something along those lines. Or maybe it's like a cafeteria. This is where they go to eat.
I mean, yeah.
Nah. But actually, that even kind of makes me think. So, marketplace, again, it makes sense to have that be, like, the first area, because a lot of people coming into town, if you want to emphasize trade, that's where you'd want them to be. So, to that effect, game... The controls, for me, I'm not so good at the control thing, so just... Why are you... How position camera? No! Not in the middle of there! Not like this!
Schizophrenic.
I don't want to be a schizophrenic. Oh, God.
I'm so confused.
No! No! No, not in the middle of nowhere!
Stuck in the middle with you.
This is definitely still... This is early access. They do want things like bug feedback and stuff like that. One of the things that I might even suggest at some point for them is, like, choosing which kind of terrain you want to build on. So, for example, if I don't want to make a multi-layer house, I want to make a multi-layer, like, set of stairs or something like that. Having that be an option for building things. So, let's see.
Gives you a little bit more control.
Yeah.
So, because the thing is that you notice that as I am clicking on this, I just want to create a straight line out for things like ships to come, and I get these jagged fucking things.
Yeah.
It doesn't like me doing it this way. So I can't make straight up dry docks, I don't think. It just ends up being this little jagged set of things.
Yeah.
I will probably add that sort of thing, like, you know, when I'm making the maps and everything, like actually making it a map kind of thing.
Yeah.
The city would probably have... You say that. The thing is that... So, this city, as it sits, because it looks like a fucking island and that does have the water and all of that, would be a fishing village, except that I am picturing this more as being, like, in the middle of a continent. The problem is that I can't set just straight ground. Or I could do that, but it would just be I'm trying to establish specific city streets, which is what I need for the reference to be able to make other stuff with it.
So it by default makes whatever you build an island?
You start it up and you just get nothing but a blank area of water.
I see.
And your first click creates the foundational little pop like that. Whatever color you currently have activated is the... Whatever color you currently have activated is the color of the building that you create on top of that. So if I want to make a tower, I can literally just keep adding... No, to the top of it. I heard there's apparently... No. There's apparently an upper limit to how tall you can actually make these buildings.
Huh.
I don't know that it needs to
make
be this
sense.
tall.
Huh.
Okay.
Well, you know, you never know.
It keeps
Oh, God.
going and going and going. The fucking Tower of Babel.
I was seriously just gonna
Oh
say
my
that.
god. Well, now we're in Minecraft.
Mince wrap?
Just because I want to test something, because I did get apparently some
Oh.
buffering at the beginning. So y'all in the chat, I don't know, whenever you hear me say this, and this is one of those things, because I want to guess how bad of a lag this is. When you hear me say this, can you say, Minecraft in the chat? Tower to Heaven. Oh my.
Oh,
That's a...
that's a pretty heavy delay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it did kind of start out that way. Oh no.
Oh no, Minecraft.
There we go.
There we go.
Okay. Wow, that was a very
Ooh, that was a
long delay. So if you guys say something and like for whatever reason I don't respond immediately, it's not because I'm not reading it, it's because literally there's that long of a delay. That's what we're doing right now, apparently. So and that's actually, by the way, how you can build, like, these multi-tier things. You build it up, and then you right-click, and it removes one of the tiers. So you can create these tall towers with these blocks missing. Now, you can't just have a piece of building hanging out in the middle of nowhere without supports. Which is why, if I were to build out to the side here, it automatically generates a fucking ladder.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Generates
idea.
2.
I love the idea of there just being like a house on top of this fucking like 1,000-foot tall ladder.
Oh my god, you know
Someone
what?
just really doesn't want to deal with their neighbors.
Oh, God.
Spot the main character.
No, then it would be pink.
Oh yeah, you're right. It's too not pink for that.
Oh boy.
Oh my god, though. I don't think I want to keep this, but I just love this fucking concept.
Yeah,
Why not keep it?
It's so stupid.
I know.
Exactly.
It's like the opposite of the Logician's house.
The Legion would absolutely live in this house.
No, that's just it. He lives on. Well,
The guy
I
on the
won't say
top.
anything else because that's technically sort of spoilery.
The guy on the, who lives in the house on the top says, "Look upon my work and despair, peasants." Thank you, Phoenix, for making me sound funny.
So, I'm not gonna keep this. It's just to demonstrate, you know, what the fuck is what you're capable of in this game. What in the fuck? Let me do this game.
It's like the fucking. I just realized it's the fucking House of Kami from fucking Dragon Ball. Like not Kame House, because that's on the island, but the one that's up the fucking pole.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
I also have no idea what you're talking about. Sorry, we're...
Someone in chat will get it.
Oh, wow. Did you hear that little condescending dismissal that he just gave us, Alex? Well, someone in chat will get it.
I see how it is.
Yeah, what's the matter, Laura? I thought you were more weeb than this.
I'm sorry, what?
My goodness. The most oppressed group of them all. Weebs. Actually, no, sorry, they're only the second most oppressed group. I completely forgot about gamers for a second.
Oh, what about furries?
Fair.
Okay, no, furries.
Well, here's the thing: furries are rich, so I'm not sure they're really all that oppressed.
They're oppressed. Look, just because they can go into McDonald's wearing a hijab does not mean that they're not oppressed.
Oh God.
I still hate that man.
Yeah, same.
So apparently I can't build any further out that way. So this is basically the trek into town. Now, like, again, this is all water, but instead of it being water, instead imagine it being like grassland or something like that. Like terrain that does not have stone laid on it to be the streets, basically.
So you started saying, like, instead of water, imagine, and instantly my mind goes, good lagoon.
I'm not gonna lie, before you said grass, I straight up thought you were gonna say lava.
No, that's a later mission.
Yeah.
Spoilers.
I can't, I want to talk about the campaign, because we've actually played now our second session, which is, technically session 1, because we have a session 0 that we did.
Yeah.
Let's see. But I want to talk about it so bad, but I also don't want to spoil it for the audience, so let's just say I am looking forward to being able to produce this for you guys.
Oh, boy.
I'm looking forward to it as well. I'm looking forward to inevitably listening to what's going on.
Yeah. No, put it back. Put it back where I wanted it. How dare you? That's not what I wanted.
Came from, or so help me.
No. I don't want this.
I don't want to be an architect.
I mean, I don't. No, come on. You can do it. No, you can't. This is a very simple.
Can.
Yes, you can.
Yeah,
I can do anything you can do better.
I can build anything better than you.
I did that completely wrong, by the way. I don't know if you noticed. This is me just messing around, by the way.
I wasn't gonna mention anything.
You can do anything better than I can.
You sure can. That's me singing that song, honestly.
I mean...
It would be. God. Oh my God, I feel like we need to make that the duet now.
God.
You can do anything better than I can.
You can do anything better than me.
No, I can't.
Yes, you can.
No, I can't.
Yes, you can.
No, I can't.
Yes, you can. Yes, you can.
Stop, I can't breathe.
Oh my God. No, but this is literally me and you, Alex, isn't it?
It is. It is. It really is.
You can do it. You can do anything better than I can. Oh my God. See, this is how I know I'm funny, because I crack me the fuck up. Just by being
what you deserve.
No, it's not what I deserve.
To have people laughing at your jokes, yes.
So anyway, this is just me kind of playing around with what I can do. I'm sorry.
I can call babies more valid than me.
What? Stop. Go away. Why did I invite you?
Good fucking question.
I ask myself this to this day. Although, yes, of course, you were talking to Griffin. Never mind.
Why would you I always want you around, Alex.
One more time! Anything you can I can do. Not great.
Love the self-doubting version of this song.
The self-deprecation edition.
You can do it better than I can. You can do anything better. I'm completely off key. You can do anything. I'm completely off key.
You can stay on key better than I can.
You can
sing any song worser than you.
Yes, you can.
No, I can't.
That's a really
the
cool
quality
design.
of entertainment you can expect on a weekly basis, ladies and gentlemen.
So what I've been trying to set up here actually is basically like a sort of like security hub kind of building. I'm just playing with the architecture, but just showing you how creative you can even get with this, with a very simple add building, subtract building.
Yeah, that color scheme specifically with like the tan building and the orangish tiles, it reminds me a lot of the wineries down in middle to northern California.
I didn't ask.
Well, you never do.
What?
And that's a good baseline, like, gauge of how people interpret our interactions. It's
Why
like,
are you two so mean to each other?
that's just it. To anyone else, it seems like such a fucking toxic, like, friendship.
And to us, it's just like, I didn't ask you.
Yeah.
Maybe you should be nicer.
Why would we want to do that? That's gay.
Yo.
I feel like
quietly.
this is the introduction of Alex to Loreley and the Logician.
Yes.
Why can't you
absolutely.
be nicer to each other?
We have broken them.
That implies a state of transience. There was no change of state here. You just brought out what was already dormant.
It's just delayed the inevitable.
Oh God. Okay. I needed a moment. No, not a house in the middle. That's not what I needed. I feel like
House
this
in the middle with you.
In the middle of us.
our house in the middle of the road. Our house made to muddle like a toad. Okay.
Why can't you just be normal screeching?
Our house in the
Hey,
middle
listen,
of our
I've
beep
never-
beep.
Don't put words in my mouth. I have never once asked anyone to be normal.
That's because normality doesn't exist.
Also, that would be because it would be hypocritical.
We're all monsters here.
Why is it randomly a star?
We all know that the real monster is man.
We all know that the real
Cannibalism is
monsters are
frowned
the friends
upon.
we made along the way.
Why is it a star?
Why not?
Because you're a star.
No, fuck off.
Yes.
No, I love you.
No.
Congratulations, you've made a paw print.
I hate
Yes, so do
everything.
I. Yeah, we hate. That is just, a fact of life. Welcome to the Furry Atoll.
No.
No. Don't listen. I've told you to not be. I've asked you to not be so mean to each other, but don't be so mean to furries, y'all.
Oh,
Furries get enough hate.
that's true. I do dig the star shape of that tower, though.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
like I don't know what determines it when you click on the map.
I think it's just that the map like is set up with all of these curving lines, and wherever they meet in the, because you have some places where it meets in like triangles.
Yeah.
It's the I could say some highly complicated geometry things here, but I don't think anyone would be interested by that.
Our femur gamer boy and gamer girl minds are far too primitive to comprehend.
The maths non-binary.
Yeah.
The three genders. Gamer boy, gamer girl, and mathematics.
Like a city builder mixed with Carcassonne, since you can also create towns with absurd maps. I like the look of that lighthouse. Yeah, it would be cool, except it's not supposed to be a lighthouse. This is not supposed to be in the middle of water.
No, it's... I mean, it could be like a watchtower.
Yeah.
It's like a land version of a lighthouse.
Yeah.
That's like a land version of this thing.
That's in the water.
That's in the water.
What?
Okay, that's like 5 levels of you wouldn't understand. So those of you who have played King's Quest VI might recognize that tune. It's the song Girl in the Tower. So I made a tower in the middle of the water. So that's in the water. I built it there.
I swear.
Don't tell me what to do.
Genuine brain power from me.
Don't tell me what to do. I'm gonna build it.
Water, I'm drowning out. My lungs are filled with blue.
Why do you enjoy torturing me so much?
Good question. Next question.
What's going on?
I don't know what's going on, man.
What's going on, man?
However, let's see.
Hello?
Hello.
God, I need to stop. I've gotten into a terrible habit of just saying ooh on command whenever something comes up that I'm not expecting.
See,
I very nearly said it to my landlord over the phone.
See, what I've figured out, Alex, is that like you're basically one of those anime characters where at the end of every other sentence they have to put in a little like sentence enhancer. Like, you know what I mean?
No.
I mean, yeah, but I'm not quite. Does that apply to me?
Apparently, you are the embodiment of anime.
I mean, tell me something I don't know.
Exactly.
Well, I mean, I don't like to think of myself as the embodiment of anime. I like to think of myself as the embodiment of a Skyrim NPC. I don't really have a concept of personal space. Sometimes I just stop working for no reason. And if a stranger tries to talk to me, I have 3 set responses.
I mean, fair enough.
That's
And you usually are
that's
left
my
with
kin type.
Yeah, you're usually left with few alternatives than to pay the court a fine or serve your sentence. Either way, your stolen goods are now forfeit.
Griffin,
I'm
stop.
not sure I like the anticipation. Not anticipation. What's the word?
The implications?
Implications. I'm not sure I like the implications of that. Thank you for helping me judge you.
You're most
Your contribution
welcome.
has been widely appreciated.
I can judge anything better than you.
It always comes back.
Full circle.
Again, can you even, like, sticky note it, Griffin? You can do anything better than I can. You can do anything better than me. No, I can't.
So for the uninitiated, we have a list of ideas that started out as a series of digital sticky notes that I had on my computer desktop background. But over the years, we had so many of these ideas that it formed multiple layers on my desktop. So we've only recently have we decided, you know what, maybe we should put this on a dedicated document.
You know.
A dedicated document of all of your ideas for covers and duets and like
Just stupid
skits and
bullshit
all
that
of
we're
that.
just stupid bullshit that we're immensely proud of.
Incredible.
Yeah.
I'm in love with this. I used to have one of those, except it was physical and it was just a piece of paper and it was pinned up on my notice board.
Wait, it was just physical for you? Did it have no meaning?
I thought what we had was
Well, something. There was a cover of for the two of us on there somewhere. It definitely meant more to me than just physical. Put it around here in one of these boxes. Me? I've been in my house for 4 days now, and I still haven't finished unpacking.
4 whole days? Amateur.
I mean,
Please. Please, I am soft.
I'm baby.
And I've been dealing with so much problems.
So, like, something that this will automatically generate, for example, is I take that house out, and this is completely all smooth. I add a house, and suddenly it has these ascending staircases down to the beach, basically.
I love that.
There's no reason for it.
Well, yes, there is. It allows people who live there access to the beach.
Let's go to the beach each.
Yeah,
Let's
exactly.
all go to the
Josh.
beach.
Whoa, dude, Skyrim looks fucked.
Let's all go to the water.
Let's all go to the water.
And drown our sins in salt.
What?
I'm so glad that you're as confused as I am.
It's the basis of our friendship, really.
Honestly.
Confusion and anger.
The stairway to drowning.
Did you just say stairway?
Stairway!
Stairway.
Stairway to drowning.
Oh my god. Okay, no, to be fair, I'm English. I deserve to be oppressed.
It's not that you're English so much as it is you are like an avid speaker of Ubu speak.
I didn't
Wait,
even...
what is the arbitrary thing here? Why is it like that when there's not a thing here? But I move this out here and it assumes I want a roof over it?
What do you mean? Why would you
It'll
not want
eventually...
the roof?
It will eventually pop up and create like a... Well, because I like this little ledge here. But as soon as I add an extra thing here, it decides to make it into a fully roofed house.
I think
I think it's because it defaults to a roof when it can make the shape, but it replaces the roof with a balcony when it can't make a roof shape.
Yeah, if there are 4 corners, then it'll assume that you're trying to make a house-like structure.
That would be another thing that would be great to report for the
Ooh!
for the beta. That to give people the thing
option.
where you get to
The option
yeah.
to build a
And the one I
balcony
was
without a
looking for was
roof.
choice, but they both worked.
Yay!
God, I'm so bad at speaking today.
Alex
Today is
deserves to be oppressed for being English. I mean, stairway to heaven, well.
Wait, no way to hit one.
Have I never mentioned this? That all English people are fluent in OO.
Way fwee bud.
Oh my god, I was actually just listening to that earlier today. No, okay, I went on like a classic rock bent at one point, and part of that included Bat Out of Hell because, you know, of course.
Hell yeah.
I don't know how to write oh well. It's basically a lot of... Think like Eridan from Homestuck.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Oh,
I'm going fucking fellow, Mr. Quabs.
I am...
I will commit racial genocide.
No!
That is Ethan. Are you kidding me? That's just him. Am I wrong?
God! Look, Griffin, you're super loud. Am I wrong?
You're very loud and you have very strong opinions. Yes, this is a threat.
I'm picturing, like, Logician talking and then, like, Alex out of nowhere just being like, you are very loud and you have a lot of opinions.
God, that needs to be in the introductory
Adding it to
section.
the list.
honestly, God.
See, you are very loud and have a lot of opinions.
I'm very soft, okay?
We know. I've seen
That's why
your
you have
hair.
me here.
I have seen your hair. You are fluff.
Yes.
I am.
You are in fact floof.
I actually managed to cut off a part of my fringe because I couldn't stop it from getting in my eyes, but I didn't touch the rest of my hair, so it's still fluffy, so I still feel good about it.
Nice.
What was the purpose of this little detour into my life? There wasn't one, but it sure did happen. I know we should be providing like interesting commentary, but I could honestly just watch this sort of town building just forever in complete silence.
That's a hell of a mystery and no one thought was a mystery and didn't even really need solving, but damn if it didn't just get solved. So nice work.
Flexing your local Dave.
I mean, my local, I guess, by definition, he would be local to my fucking vocal cords.
As opposed to your distance, Dave.
Yes. Support your local Daves today.
Or not, because he's kind of a little fucker.
Well, I was gonna follow that up with don't support your local Dirks.
Well, don't, but yeah.
Yeah.
Why are there so many birds on this house? I'm still confused.
Because it's an island.
Picture of this city society if we stopped men. Ari, I swear to God.
This is the fucking prequel to or not fucking Birdemic, Hotiful Boyfriend.
It is. That's why there's so many birds.
That's why they're man-sized. Seriously,
Fuck
zoom
yeah,
in
the
on
birds-
those birds and
those
look at
birds
them
are,
in like proportion to the buildings and tell me they're not
They're
man-sized.
terrifyingly huge.
Yeah.
They're about the size of ravens, actually.
Yeah,
Now,
but
see-
ravens are terrifyingly huge.
I just want to
Stand by my
show.
point.
I just want to show what happens when you actually build something on a square where there's a bunch of birds. And I may as well do it with all of these birds on this fucking roof, just to show you what happens to them.
Yes. Also, hello, Rob.
Hey, Rob. Yeah.
Hi, Rob.
And then they go flying around for a little bit, and then they eventually settle someplace. Oh, they've picked another house over here. Awesome. Fuck you. Are you coming back to the same... Okay. Feed the birds.
Mr. Obama. Help me. Rug, why would you make me read that? Although I said that out loud. That was my personal choice. But I
Yeah.
had to see it with my own two good Christian eyes, so everyone else has to hear it. Good Christian.
Yes. I mean, good, yes.
I'm a terrible Christian.
Oh,
I'm bad at being
That's-
Christian.
understandable.
I mean, congratulations.
Congratulations,
fair-
you have won. See, you say that, and I was also literally just listening to Congratulations earlier.
Oh, God, yeah.
Congratulations.
I need to pirate. I mean, legitimately through the use of a Disney Plus, a streaming service I enjoy. Watch the Hamill film.
Same. Actually, no, they wouldn't build out because that's a rich person's house. I'm just trying to build a residential district for this town. Actually,
Loreley, are you creating a fantasy town with a class divide?
yes.
You heard it here first, folks.
Is that high on your list of things?
You heard it here
So we need
first.
magic, we need fantasy, we need high adventure,
We need the
we
1%.
need the eradication of the middle class.
Fucking Laura's a DM with the fucking monocle and top hat from Mr. Uncle Moneybags.
Mr. Menudo?
Mr. Menudo. Listen, I'm all for calling like the Monopoly guy Mr. Menudo.
Menudo.
Sorry, I don't know if you heard that, but a very loud police car just went past my window. On their way to arrest you, Law.
It's Mr. Menudo again.
That's Mr. Menudo up after it again.
Of course, I say that, but Menudo's actually fucking delicious, so I wouldn't wish that on on someone like him.
What is it? It's a dish?
Menudo is a Mexican soup, essentially made with stomach lining.
It was also a boy band that Ricky Martin was originally a part of.
No, I knew it was a boy band. That one I did know, but I did not know about the soup.
And I did not know about the boy band. Two great tastes.
One great confusion.
Yeah.
Ooh. Now this is
You're
interesting.
just snaking out this house.
Yeah.
Well, you'll see the design when the stream actually catches up
Yeah.
with what the fuck I'm doing.
Yeah, I just noticed the disappearance of Roof Chan. See, See, here's the thing. I said like disappearance, and my mind automatically went to the disappearance of Nakato Yuki-chan, and
My
rolled
mind
with it.
immediately went to the disappearance of Hatsune Miku.
I mean, yeah.
She
There
went to
was a
Minecraft.
benefit.
That's what I get for being a Minecrafter.
The Disney Mouse bitch is coming to arrest you for pirating.
Honestly, he can fucking try.
I mean, it's
I mean, I respect the Disney Corporation and
Why?
their animation because I.
Did you not
like,
pick up on the inherent sarcasm in that, Griffin?
I did,
It wasn't-
but
It wasn't sarcastic. It's called bootlicking. Big difference.
Do you like the taste of leather? 'Cause I can stick some in your mouth.
Well, the
I
reason
can
I was
taste anything
backtracking
better than
on
you.
trying to like advocate for crimes was to keep this video monetized.
Again,
Mon- monetization long ago.
oh, we lost monetization ages ago. But if we're talking about monetization, the best way to monetize these videos is either to do some sort of donation live. Although, if you do want to do a donation, if you see the coffee note on the screen,
yeah.
you can actually do it through there, and I will get probably because YouTube automatically takes out like something like 33% out of
Yeah.
anything that you contribute through YouTube directly. However, if you do it through Coffee, I usually see pretty much the entire thing. There are a couple of fees that they take out, but generally speaking, it's a lot more consistent. Which is why I have it on the screen as an alternative to doing something through YouTube. However, if you decide to do it through Super Chats, that does also go to me. And also, like, technically it tells YouTube that having me on is a financial boon to them, but still. I would rather see that money than YouTube, because YouTube's doing fucking fine. You know? Until there's an alternative, in which case they're just going to lose everything. But, you know, a viable alternative anyway.
Yeah.
But that said, like, if you want to monetize it, that's one way. There's also, if you go to my Patreon, which is linked in the video description of every video that has ever been, well, that has more recently been uploaded to my channel. Now, I always point this stuff out because I don't want it to be an obligation or anything like that. Ah, good. The rumblings of people with stupid fireworks are going off.
Joy.
Excellent. And it's 4:30. Come on, guys. Anyway.
For a second I was thinking, that's kind of a reasonable time to be setting off fireworks, and I forgot the time difference was a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
But
I think that's bad. Just wait for Alex to tell you a thing or two on November 5th.
Lord.
Don't even. It's a nightmare.
Remember the 5th of November.
Yeah,
I
let's
will
all celebrate
say-
that one time that this one guy got scapegoated.
Yeah.
God.
Can I also just say, though, that I do love... Okay, I'm gonna say controversial opinion. I actually like V for Vendetta.
I do too.
Just as a side note, I know that it has one of those, like, you know, stereotypical, like, this is, like... Unfortunately, it's the same thing with, like, The Matrix or Fight Club, where the exact wrong crowd got drawn to it.
Yeah. I mean, I will say I like the graphic novel more than I do the movie, because like with the movie they tried to they Americanized it so much.
I need to stress that as someone who knows nothing about V for Vendetta, this jump from topic to topic has been very jarring.
Well, I mean, because V for Vendetta, it's a Guy Fawkes mask.
Yeah.
That's what he wears.
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah.
Yeah, so it's actually directly related.
I don't... I don't know things.
Hey, no
I mean,
worries, man.
Anonymous is one of those things where they could be a force for good or evil. Sometimes they have been absolutely a force for evil. But then they also took particular aim at, like, Scientology back when that was starting to really kick off as a trend.
Yeah.
They did a lot to out a lot of the paper trails in terms of finances and stuff along those lines, and pulling up things that they tried to hide. I know that they've also done this with the Church of Latter-day Saints. So sometimes they'll do that. They've also been a major help when it comes to pulling up papers that they've tried to hide, and a lot of the stuff related to the current ongoing political situation over here in all directions, but particularly the stuff related to civil unrest and the kind of things that they're trying to shift around without actually doing anything meaningful about it.
Yeah, that's just it. Like, I'm sure Anonymous has a lot of good intentions, but they haven't really done jack and shit.
Well, they have and they haven't.
Yeah.
But anyway, scrolling that back a little bit more, I will say I
Today's
remember
light topic conversations.
I do actually love a lot of the things about V for Vendetta. Obviously, you know, there's only so much that you can translate into a single movie from a series of something. But I did like the you push it too far. Like, you tighten your grip often enough, and the more that you tighten your grip, the more likely you are to eventually cause someone to decide. When you take away the last thing, because this even reminds me of an analysis of Rule of Rose. But I was just going to say, I love the moment in the movie that they chose to be the thing that pushed them too far.
Yeah.
And we saw a real life example of that with what happened with George Floyd. It was one of those, there had been too many of them. There had been too many instances of exactly that same thing happening. And there was no doubting what was going on. The fucking officer was grinning with his knee on his neck. He was fucking delighting in what he was doing, which is exactly why it's like, no, you cannot hide this shit. You cannot disguise that, you cannot pretend that this is somehow justice in any form.
Yeah.
Absolutely was nothing to do with justice. That was a decision that was made intentionally. It wasn't an accident. It wasn't, due process. It was the murder. Straight and simple. And of course people recognized that and called it out for what it was. And because they continued, again, they're like, oh, they're suspended, they're on leave, and then they're fired. It's like they were going to try and shuffle the police off again. And it didn't happen. But, I was going to move to something else, too. I saw this analysis of the game, The Rule of Rose, which is one of those games where it's actually one of the combat system sucks. That goes without saying. It's not only just reminiscent of the worst controls of the survival horror genre back in the day, but also, it could have used some refining. Mm-hmm. However, the plot is fucking amazing. The characters, everything about it, and it's another iteration of what happens when you push someone too far. Some people will continue to bend and be meek and put up with all sorts of shit until you take care of the one thing that they say is what they can hold on to. As they say, as long as I have this, I can endure the rest of it. If you take that one thing away, you can expect revolution.
Yeah.
Rule of Rose, hearing that name made my bones shudder. It is such a good game.
It's kind of fucked, yeah, but in a good way.
Yeah. I will never get over the full ending.
Yeah.
Because there are technically two endings to that game, but the full ending never fails to make me tear up. Especially because they decided to do it from the perspective of Brown.
Yeah.
Just the last fucking shot, and it's just like, no, puppy.
They gotta do Brown dirty that way.
I mean, Brown didn't deserve that. And apparently Brown was like a last-minute addition to the game or something.
Jesus.
And yet I can't imagine that game with, what the fuck? How did I get in here?
That is also a big rule of Rose mood.
I think I found a bug. I'm inside.
You get to the mermaid boss. How the fuck did I get in here?
Wow.
Oh, there you go. There you go. It just caught up on the stream.
Oh,
Where am I?
now you're playing the first person edition.
POV, you are the machine. You were talking about.
You are the building.
You were talking about V for Vendetta being one of those things that like just was really good but attracted the wrong crowd.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And one thing that I really, really think is a massive victim of that is The Matrix.
Yes.
If you try, you can really try and tell most Matrix fans that The Matrix was directed by true trans women and is telling the story of trans, of trans, like, what's the word? Realization. But they won't have any of it. No, it's about cool people rebelling against the man, and by the man they mean anyone who tries to tell them that they can't say slurs. It is a case of a really incredible movie with an incredible message that's just been completely hijacked. And also, there is only one Matrix film. Only one.
Yeah.
But no, there's my 2 pence on the topic.
Yeah.
2 pence. What are you, British?
I fucking imagine it.
Can you imagine streaming with a British person? Nah, I can never imagine anything like that. No siree.
Was that your attempt at an American accent?
It's my attempt at a very poorly attempted American accent that's deliberately bad for the purposes of a joke, y'all.
Okay, John, settle down.
My actual John is like at least slightly better than that.
Oh yeah, I'm just messing around.
So yeah, Matrix being one of so the thing that hates me the most is the concept of being red pilled, and nowadays with the men's rights culture is like. It's like, oh, it's when you wake up to the conspiracy around you to make you hate yourself, and it's like, there's not a conspiracy to make you hate yourself.
Maybe you're just realizing something, my dude.
Or maybe, this is also a thought, and just the one thought, of course, but like, maybe we're starting to hold y'all accountable for your shit? Although, again, this whole thing, and I've talked about this before, but basically the whole thing with Gamergate was, yes, now we have a cause to pretend that we're totally subjugated against we're prejudiced against and we're oppressed. We're no longer the bad guys. We get to be the oppressed ones.
It's so funny hearing people talk about, hearing people have no idea what red pill, blue pill actually means, trying to talk about it, because like there is an actual sort of definitive proof, a definitive like explanation as to specifically in the Matrix what they stand for, and it's the red pill. The uncomfortable truth is because estrogen pills were historically red, and the blue pill represents Adderall, as in dismissing dysphoria as depression and just hiding it. So, like, your people always talking about taking the red pill, congrats, you're about to get transed.
So, like, I'm... Here's the thing. I will admit I was not aware of the
Are you sure that it's Adderall or, like, Xanax or something?
Well, Adderall was what I had heard, but I do know that specifically it's meant to be an allegory for antidepressants.
Adderall is what I take, and it's for my ADHD.
Probably not that then.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's an amphetamine, which would kind of have the
Yeah.
exact opposite effect.
The opposite effect, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so again, like, it's admittedly been years upon years since I've seen The Matrix or anything Matrix related, so I would probably have to watch it again to pick up on all those things. But honestly, that's something I've sort of become somewhat addicted to recently, is just looking back on media I used to watch and realizing, oh, there's shit here I didn't pick up on before.
I think that's just a very healthy way to look at basically any media that you consume. Because it also comes down to the whole sort of adults looking at children's media now and saying, "Oh, it didn't used to be this political when it was mine." It's like, yeah, it was. You just didn't look at it.
Yeah, bitch, please press rewind and watch again.
It honestly
Please
is
be
a really
kind,
healthy
press
outlook to be
rewind.
able to look at things and say, "Oh, look, there's something that I didn't appreciate the first time I watched it because either I wasn't really paying attention or because I was too young or I didn't understand it." It's just a really healthy way to look at things in terms of personal growth.
Yeah.
Today's light conversations on Loreley built a city.
I mean, look, people have come to expect us to walk into these streams with our soapboxes ready. So,
Yeah, that's fair. That's completely understandable.
Watch me break these buildings.
I'm just... Yeah, I'm... Honestly, like this post if you would let Lore demolish your building.
I mean...
I see Lore tearing a building to the ground, and I just think, do that to me.
Again, this seems to be a common thread with y'all.
I just crave physical destruction. Is that so bad?
I swear you become more like Gab with every stream. Oh dear. Shout out to Serena Midori.
Is that a bad thing?
Dude,
I feel like that's a good thing. I love Gab.
I love her too.
I am a quality friend.
I am so
Agreed.
looking forward to tomorrow.
That's gonna be fun.
Because we might actually let our kids have a fucking break.
Beach episode.
Listen, I will wager any amount of money that it just doesn't happen. Y'all are too invested in the plot.
Look, don't call us out like this. Don't at me.
If anyone deserves to call us out, is it not Alex?
Why else do you have me in the stream if not for the purposes of calling the two of you out when you're both too entrenched in something?
That's just it. The reason we have anyone else besides like you and me is a frame of reference.
You didn't need to at me like that.
Turnabout is fair play, motherfucker.
Hey, I'm allowed to be hypocritical. You're not. That's
mean,
how it works. Sorry,
I would
don't make
beg
the
to
rules.
differ.
I just
Lore will
enforce them.
point out that I am one of the biggest hypocrites she's ever met.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're just not. You are a hypocrite. You're just not allowed to.
Well, that didn't stop me.
Oh, you want to be stopped, motherfucker?
I cannot be stopped.
See, I misheard that as you want to be stomped, motherfucker, and I was like,
No.
Do
Gab.
you want to be stomped, motherfucker?
No, again, that would be Gab.
well, true.
Understandable.
Well, I think that was her response to seeing Millie in those heels.
Yeah.
Like,
Admittedly, that would be anyone's response in that situation.
yeah, no,
Maybe
fair.
people who don't like pain being inflicted on them.
Maybe.
Who?
I guess. As always, I guess I'm the weirdo.
Yeah.
Look at this loser. Isn't even a masochist. Let's oppress him from us. Let's ostracize him from our social group because he's different.
Look at this loser with fucking self-preservation instincts.
Oh, lame. Anyone with self-preservation instincts will not be preserving themselves any longer.
Look at this loser with a long-standing fear of death stemming from childhood nightmares.
Lame. Every time I stop making jokes for a hot second and I just watch the town coming to life in front of me.
It really is therapeutic, isn't it?
It's really therapeutic. That's exactly. Oh well, thank you, John.
Oh,
Hey, much
Pain
appreciated.
hurts me, and I don't like that.
pain.
You've unfortunately donated, so to threaten to fight you would probably be not very ethical of me.
I feel like that needs to be a shirt now. Pain hurts me, and I don't like that.
Or when you inevitably create merch.
Adding it to the doc.
Let's bully the person who fears death. I mean, we've already done that enough.
Yeah.
We'll do it more.
Does this city have a Burger King?
I mean, we already spend enough time bullying the people who crave death, namely Jane.
Hey, I was just about to say, hey, you don't bully me, but that's just an explicit lie.
Yeah, bullshit. I don't.
Do. Both of you do.
I just do it in a roundabout way.
To be fair, actually, Law only does it when you're around. You're a bad influence on her.
I
You're
bully
both
you all
bad
the
influences
time.
on each other. Yeah, but like, in a constructive way.
No, I don't.
No, you don't. I'm just making excuses for you.
Maybe I don't want a roof here. Maybe I want a fucking... Why can you do... Fuck off.
You're having a bit of trouble there, Law.
How about you stop bullying me?
Hey, fair play.
Welcome to the Alex is over party.
Honestly, finally cancel me on Twitter.
Finally, we can die!
Finally!
Just if you have to cancel it, if you have to cancel me on Twitter for something, please let it be that I pissed on someone.
Let it be.
Oddly specific request.
Let it be. Let it be.
God, no one. Am I?
Get your gallstones off of me.
Alex Heighton is a bitch ass motherfucker. They pissed on my fucking wife.
Nah, see, they were just marking their territory.
No, how do you even bully people in a constructive way? Good question.
Next question.
Next question.
That's my new favorite thing. I forget
Good
where.
question,
I think it was
next
on a.
question.
Yeah, good question. Next question.
It's very logician, I'll say that much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, no, he actually wants to delve into like the details of the questions. Questions are his big thing.
Well, it depends on the question.
I guess.
I mean,
feel
pretty
like
much.
that could be a perfect reaction to the why can't you two just be nicer to each other? Good question. Next question.
I
feel
could
like,
even
yeah.
see that would be like Loreley going, "Good question."
Next question.
Let's bully orphans. What are they gonna do? Call their parents? I've got a question about this game, though. Could you build only houses with 100 or more combinations, or can you build other kinds of buildings? You only got the houses. I would love to see more options in terms of being able to build buildings, but I will say this is all pretty, pretty versatile. I mean, I've just literally made a fucking town here.
Fucking Aria in the chat. Society if we progress past the need for pissing.
Yeah, I saw that. I just didn't know how to respond to that.
Yeah, I just felt it was worth noting.
It's a series of, like, all of these nature things.
Like green trees and world peace and smiley faces.
And a Lenny face.
Yeah. Oh god, it is a Lenny face. I didn't realize.
So, alright. This works for residential shit, I think.
I wonder what Lenny is doing these days. Or rather, who he's doing.
Why must you...
Does it make it better or worse if I say that for Arya in particular, this is perfectly in character?
Use your imagination.
Why must you say these things, Griffin?
Because I
Why
can't
must you?
fucking stop. I've tried.
It's time to stop.
Who you calling Pinhead?
Notice how I'm no longer responding to your shit anymore?
Oh, I'm elderly. Oh my god.
I'm sorry, what?
The fuck you say?
Oh,
Wait, do people not say that?
I'm elderly?
not
Yeah,
by
whenever
default.
you have, like, bad backache.
No.
I'm sure I've done that more than once. I've said, in call probably, I've said either, oh, I'm an old man, or I'm an old lady, or I'm elderly. Just whenever I have backache.
Just the specificity of, oh, I'm elderly.
I know! That's what got to me, too.
Yeah, just like oddly like specific. It's like not like the millennial. Oh, I'm old. It's like, oh, I'm elderly.
What was that laugh?
Listen, I'm incapable of conversing, like, with normal people.
It's like, ooh,
Just-
I am currently in hospice.
Ooh, I like chicken strips.
That is the next step.
Say
Yes.
that. Don't say that when I've just taken a drink. Guys, I was about 3 seconds.
Well, now you're elderly and
I
drowning.
was about like half a second away from just spitting it all over my laptop. That would have been the 3rd laptop that I put liquid inside.
Again, the odd specificity. That would be the 3rd laptop I put liquid inside.
Well, yeah, I have to be that specific because the other the other 2 times have been oddly specific.
Oh God, Alex never changed.
Even if I could, I don't think I'm capable. I've been trying for many a year now.
So what do you guys think?
I think this is looking good.
I really like this little multi-layer structure you've got going on there.
Hell yeah.
Just
I mean,
as
obviously, it's still catching up.
yeah. Huh. I just kind of realized
Mm-hmm.
this almost looks a little bit like a bird.
Huh.
You've
You're not wrong.
invoked them.
That would
You have
explain the
invoked
pigeons.
them. You know that birds can predict the future, right?
I mean,
That's why they were here. They knew this building was coming.
Hi,
That
Garrus.
would
That is a
that would-
candle. Sorry.
that would explain my experiences with birds.
You know.
you know. You
I
know.
don't, but the birds do apparently.
So, I like this.
Yeah.
I honestly think this is pretty done for what I want it for.
Hell
Oh
yeah.
yeah. Stop that, you.
It's spreading.
So, just to show you what you start with when you start an entirely new map. Ooh. Oh god! Okay.
Please tell me you press save.
Yeah, no, you don't have to actually save. It automatically saves, actually.
Oh, that's good.
Stop.
Stop it, Griffin. I swear to God. That's Lord's job to match with you.
Welcome to the fusion.
That's not
Welcome to the
allowed.
fusion! Welcome to the fusion! Oh god, now I'm just thinking of the fucking sibling dance.
We'll impress you with a sibling dance.
So, okay, I even pointed this out, but I swear to God, I can't watch that without thinking about these 3 characters in the Modem campaign. Specifically, Ophelia, Ken, and Bluey, basically.
I was 99.6% sure that was the 3 characters you were going to say.
With Louie and Ophelia being the first 2 siblings.
Yeah.
And then Ken being the, guys, I'm trying to work on this thing. This is really important. I mean, this major client just came out. I don't have time to do the sibling dance!
Sometimes I think I can talk to plants. Let's do the sibling dance.
Or what was it? The void of space is a great expanse. Or
Come
whatever
on,
it
let's
is.
do the sibling dance.
Come on, let's do the sibling dance!
See, I just think of that fucking Folgers commercial.
No.
What?
Oh, do we tell them?
Oh no!
Do
Oh.
Do we pollute the, do we corrupt the purity?
Okay, I will explain. Years and years and years and years ago, I'm talking like, late to mid 90s maybe. I don't even remember what year it was, but there was a commercial for Folgers. So their tagline for the longest time was, "The best part of waking up is Folgers in your cup." And I remember one being like Irish step dancing because Riverdance kind of took off and all of that.
Yeah.
But the one Folgers commercial in question has a brother and sister, where the brother comes home for the holidays, and the brother and sister, and I put those in quotation marks, are weirdly flirtatious with each other.
Oh no.
Like, it's pretty...
Is
you
this
can't...
a "hey step bro, I'm stuck" situation?
No. No. It's the, it's like just put this tag on what you want for a gift or something like that, and she puts the ribbon on him. "You're my gift this year." And it's like they have these like meaningful looks, and it's like, do you know how siblings interact? Because this ain't it.
No, but I mean, that's just it. They made no indication of their actual relationship. They just had them interact, and it's like, oh, they're clearly a couple. And then near the very end, they're like, happy, like, "Merry Christmas, bro," or something like that. And it's like, no!
You can really, this is related, but, very, kind of different. Like, you can tell if you're reading fiction, particularly fanfic, but any kind of fiction, really, that features siblings that was written by an only child.
Yep.
You can really tell because they say things like, "Hey, big
Hey,
bro.
bro. What's going on, sis?"
Someone who watches far too much anime.
And
Listen, there is only one time that I refer to my sister as sis, and that's when I'm being overly posh and overly dramatic. For irony purpose.
You mean like when you say, "I'm feeling elderly"?
And I'm just gonna gloss over that because I don't... Robin and Aria, both of you shut up.
"Oh, step bro, I'm stuck in this hole in the wall. Could you help?"
Could you help? One guy?
Civil
Oh my god. Aniki?
Can you help me hide the body?
Oh, God, Aniki.
Wait, hold on. Can we mix the two together somehow? Can we have weird step-sibling flirting along with trying to cover up murder? Can we combine the two?
I mean, they're in the same vein. Oh, God. Unfortunately, Kamina.
Why did that become so musical? Unfortunately, Kamina. So just to show you how you can be super creative with this shit. Ow!
Someone sounds like they have a lot to say.
Ow!
And for once, it's not Griffin.
Yeah? Yeah?
Yeah?
Yeah?
God.
Yeah? Yeah? What am I doing with this building? I am destroying the concept
I'm
of
more
architecture.
concerned with what...
It reminds me of, like, John when he was, like, building further and further up his house.
John
like
who? Oh.
Yeah.
Egg.
Yeah.
John the
sorry,
Egg.
Joan. Egg.
June.
June. My apologies. I
mean, it turns out that it's not that difficult for something to be canon.
Yeah, especially in Homestuck.
Well, especially where Homestuck, especially where Hussey himself literally said everything is canon.
Yeah.
Like, I don't really know how seriously anyone really takes the Toblerone wishes. Okay, let me rephrase that. I don't really know how seriously anyone reasonably takes the Toblerone wishes.
It's Homestuck. There's nothing reasonable about it.
Yeah, you're kind of right there. God. Like, I appreciate the getting into Homestuck
Hey, Shakarian.
Introduced me to like some really cool people and some really great circles, and a lot of the friends that I have today wouldn't be here because if I had never got into Homestuck. But damn, sometimes I wish I'd never got into Homestuck. It has been a blight on my mind.
I mean, that's kind of the point.
I don't feel like it's a very good point.
No, don't put a fucking random thing in the middle of the ocean, you piece of shit!
You son of a...
I still love those fucking highlight videos. No! Sorry.
Still put a thing in the middle, you son of a...
Watch the highlight reels, by the way, of streams and whatnot on the channel, edited by the fantastic Pinger Surprise.
Yes. God damn. We need to get Pinger on here again at some point.
He's been a busy French boy.
Yeah.
Just need to appreciate Pinger, honestly.
Yes.
Hold up your arms and send Pinger your energy. That sounds interesting out of context.
Yeah?
I should stress that I have physically held up my arms now. I'm beaming Pinger energy.
Actually.
Yes.
He deserves it.
Yes, absolutely.
Stop making islands in the middle of the ocean!
Laura, my dear, I'm not really sure who you're saying this to.
Herself.
I mean, you don't have to be so right all the time. Have you ever thought about that?
I have. But then I thought, oh wait, I'm right about that too.
How about you fucking...
Love how you went to the chicken strip voice for that.
No,
Oh,
you can't
I
just
like
create
chicken.
new land. You're disrupting the millennial-long nature of property rights in the housing market.
Hell yeah.
Scraper machine go brrr. Wait, no, sorry. Brrr. There we go.
So to anyone who's curious as to what we're talking about with that, Ashley Nichols, so one of the cleanup artists for Has Been Hotel, hosts a, I think currently it's a bi-weekly or every other week stream called Honeycast, and it often features a lot of her friends and voice cast members from Has Been Hotel. And it was at one point where they were, I think earlier in the stream they had they'd gotten like a chat question about like what foods they like, and apparently they'd passed over that onto another subject, and then all of a sudden the voice actor for Nifty, one of the more adorable characters from the pilot, went, "Oh, I like chicken strips."
See, the thing is that the conversation had drifted into something completely irrelevant at that point.
Yeah.
Like, I ken that. On a deep, visceral level, I ken that.
Yes. God. But yeah, I think the Honeycast recently did a BLM charity stream during which they had like a fuck ton of voice actors from both Has Been Hotel and what was the name of the other one?
Hell of a Boss?
Yeah, that one. And they had like I think all the voice actors from that, including Richard Horvitz, which was interesting from what I've seen of like the animatic clips of it. But
This is how you make houses, right?
I mean, you say that, but this is basically how architecture got started. Just putting shit together, seeing if it works. And also, I dig the bridge. I'm not gonna lie.
I'm honest, this is literally just me fucking around.
Yeah, I mean that's architecture.
I'd live there. All those Has-Been streams where an Alistar had a gun and his VA sung All-Star. I will say,
yeah.
I do love when Elsie Lovelock and Black Griffin were on.
Yes.
And they did a lot of singing. I think they even specifically did Anything You Can Do, I Can Do Better.
They did, in fact.
Yeah.
For reference, Elsie Lovelock and Blake Griffin are the singing voices for Charlie and Alistair, respectfully.
Black Griffin, not Blake.
Oh, sorry. But yeah, they're both fantastic fucking singers.
Oh yeah. I do love that Black Griffin was actually able to really well mimic the tone of the VA.
Oh yeah, he does a great job at replicating the Alistair voice.
I want to see more Alistair singing.
Same.
I want to see more Law singing.
I want to see more chicken strips.
I mean, not gonna lie, I could do some chicken strips right about now. Or as the kids say, I could fuck up some chicken strips right about now.
What do you know about what the kids say?
Absolutely nothing. That was the point.
The kids who said I could fuck up some blank right about now are currently 25.
You are the kids, Alex. That's not.
I'm 20. I'm not the kids.
Exactly. You're
You
the
are
kid.
the kids.
We are 30. We are in our 30s.
The boys.
Ooh, I'm digging this.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, get that donut going.
What? Get that donut going.
Get that donut going.
Gotta get that.
Gotta get donut.
I don't know what this thinks
Gotta
it's
get
doing.
that donut.
It's making a 3.
It's having a good time. Laura.
Having a good
and
time.
honestly, feeling so attacked right now.
This is a structure that just happened.
Sure did.
And it was good.
Okay, but let's see.
And Laura looked at what she had made. I'm just looking at this particular structure you're looking. That is not structurally sound.
I
It's
know,
not.
that's why I love it.
Far more support than that.
Well, I mean, it has my support, which is apparently support enough. What did I do?
You gave it.
It surely sounds like you're giving it support.
You built too long. Now your building's gone. That's what happened.
Worm off the string. What will he do? Become a house.
Oh, God. Go watch Bee and Puppy Cat as well.
I have been meaning to watch that, but
Please do. It's just a good time.
I'm rewatching a bunch of things at the minute. Like I just finished my second rewatch of She-Ra. I'm halfway through rewatching Star vs. the Forces of Evil with one of my friends, and I'm going through Atla again because I like watching old things, things that I
Well, you are
have
elderly,
watched
so.
and I am an elderly. But no, like I like watching things that are just gonna fill me with nostalgia and not make me actually critically think about anything, because that's what I crave right about now.
Fair.
I crave death.
You can crave two things.
I have 2 hands.
I
Yearning.
mean-
It's the gay mood. Yearn.
Yeah. I will say, Alex, if you also need some good feel-good watching, I can recommend some shoujo anime to you.
That's very juicy.
No! How did you miss that? It's right there!
Is this structure at the top? Is this one big house or is this several smaller houses?
Yes.
It's a circulatory system.
It's a vein.
Yeah.
I'm wondering how those people are looking.
You've provided 4 answers, and somehow I just have more questions.
No! No!
Yes.
I love how this like multi-tier parking lot comes with a cardiovascular entryway.
As all parking lots should.
What was that laugh? No,
Wait.
stop doing that. You stop it.
Wait, are you telling me that your car park doesn't come with a complete set of veins and arteries?
You know, I thought for a second you were going to say furry. Doesn't come with a furry.
You saying your car park doesn't come with a furry?
Car park come with a free furry? Because if so, I need to find those connections.
Just the image in my head of like, oh, business is opening. He's like, complimentary furries inside.
So
you
why?
You just buy a car park and I'm just there.
It's just like it says complimentary furries, and it just comes in, and there's just someone in a fursuit standing you.
Oh.
Honestly, if I was going to have someone follow me around all day, providing me with moral support, why would I not want it to be a furry? That's the question.
I wish I could draw
car
furries
park.
better.
Is it a place to bring your car on the weekend so it can frolic with other cars? No, a car park is the real proper name for a parking lot. If you know, you're cool.
Biscuits and gravy.
Why do you do this?
No! Don't put gravy on biscuits! Why would you dip your chocolate chip cookies in beef?
I'd try it.
Yeah, there's that.
Yes, but I don't trust your opinion on anything.
Well then, why are you still here?
Because Laura asked me to be here.
Why do you? Can't even fucking say. Oh god. But yeah, most places associated with the UK do in fact use car park rather than parking lot.
Yeah.
Yes. You mean an area, a lot, if you will, where you can park your car? No, actually, I mean a place where you can take your car and park it.
Oh, hi,
Yeah.
Zach.
Yeah, much usually in the form of a allotted piece of land.
No, listen, if you are talking about a lot, that there's no such thing as a lot, that's not a real thing. If you mean an allotment, that is where rich people have small areas that they can put their greenhouses that are away from their houses, so they don't have to pollute their nice pristine garden with things like vegetables.
Yeah, funny how usually rich people are the only people who can afford parking lots.
Who owns a parking lot?
Rich people.
Yeah, I walked directly into that one.
Yeah.
Car park as in a place where you can park your car, gas station as in a place where you can station your gas. Don't mix. Okay, so Rug, you say don't mix gravy with biscuits. That's because the Yanks have different gravy and different biscuits. A biscuit is like kind of like a flaky, savory bread that looks like a scone, and gravy is white.
I'm considering our definitions of scones differ as well. I'm not sure that's the best reference point, Alex.
I'm right, okay? Listen, I am
English of you.
I am almost entirely full of crippling self-doubt. And sorry, no, I shouldn't use the word crippling there. That's not very
That's not very cash money of you.
But it's not very cash money of me. But I am almost completely full of all-encompassing self-doubt. But when it comes to matters like these, I am filled with righteous anger.
All right, calm down, John Cleese.
I think we should stop arguing and just watch this YouTube stream. Why are you here if not to watch us argue?
This is the stream.
This is the stream. The stream is watching Law do some quality gameplay while Griffin and Alex just go off at each other.
The video game is just the backdrop to us on our fucking soapboxes. Are you kidding me?
I would say it's the other way around, but I don't know whether that's what I genuinely believe or just my disposition to disagreeing with you.
I mean, you're not entirely alone in that regard.
Oh, by the way, no, wait. I forgot we're live, so I can't actually...
By the way, no, wait.
But well, I was going to do a spoiler for a thing, but I've actually adjusted the planned introduction of a certain character. A certain wizard friend.
Friend?
Yes.
Yes.
In a certain different thing where he's not originally from?
You know,
maybe not.
Look, stop. You need to get more Markiplier in there. Maybe maybe some Hugh Jackson.
What?
Look, okay, so...
Did you say something about my huge ass?
I'm so lost.
Good.
Good. Also... No, okay, so Hugh Jackman plays the fucking P.T. Barnum in that movie of things.
Yeah.
And, like, I like the movie as it is. I do not like the actual real-life P.T. Barnum.
Oh, yeah.
I dislike that the movie whitewashes what he does and makes excuses for him, basically.
Yeah.
However, if I were to treat it like it were, you know, the whitewashing it is, that's not meeting up with where I want it to go.
This is looking more and more like a water park.
I mean...
God, I haven't been to a water park in so many years.
I didn't ask.
Sorry, water lot.
What is wrong with all of you?
Good question.
Right.
Next question.
What?
Anyway,
Listen,
to go back to
Laura,
what
if
I
you're
was
asking
saying.
that question.
So what I was
Sorry, yeah, continue.
So what I was saying, in that movie, Hugh Jackman plays the main character of it, the titular greatest showman, etc.
Uh-huh.
And Gab has kind of stated that basically that is like one of her headcanons when it comes to Tim Weldon.
Just that sort of performative attitude, air about him.
Yeah. But I will say, like, you've been doing it super raspy thus far, and I do think that, especially with the Markiplier influence in there, he would probably be considerably smoother than the way you've been playing him. What?
Insert darker player joke.
Okay, don't.
I mean...
Gab evidently has... Never mind.
Yeah.
That's not my story to tell. No!
Yes.
I love just because of the lag. I just see you working. Whenever you say no, I'm like, oh well, this is gonna be good.
Oh, we're about to see what's coming up.
Uh-huh. Oh yeah, there it is.
There it is.
The island of misfit clicks.
How about you go ahead and not say words anymore?
I lose all my natural charm.
So, just showing some of the creativity that you can get into with this game, for as an example.
Yes.
You can make some creative... You know, this in itself might be interesting for, like, a map.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This honestly kind of reminds me of, like, an FPS map or something.
Well, this, honestly, like, this would be, say, a Trickster's Lair kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where you have, like, there's all sorts of, like, alternative places that you could end up. Interesting concepts here.
I do remember, actually, for a D&D session that I used to be in a while ago, we had the lair of sort of a trickster-style magic user who just balls-to-the-walls powerful, but ended up basically designing a map that functioned in non-Euclidean space. It was kind of the same principle as this, but just in a way where all of the sort of different corridors folded in on themselves. It was super interesting, and it really hacked with my mind.
I think that I have confused this game sufficiently. Oh! It reminds me of the confession dial from Doctor Who. I have no frame of reference for that.
I can kind of see it.
Yeah, I can
bit.
attest. Yeah, you're not wrong.
Specifically, the 12th one from Heaven Sent.
Yeah, I mean, that's just it. One of these days, I will have to take you through Who.
That's I do think that that you would enjoy Who if you got into it.
Who?
Yeah.
You.
Who?
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
I mean,
Well, that's
granted,
where That's where the Doctor's name came from. That's where the title came from.
I mean, granted, there's some stuff I feel that doesn't hold up all that well over the years, at least specific episodes and stuff. But on the whole, I still consider myself a fan of Doctor Who, or at least I appreciate it. I wouldn't go so far as to call myself a Whovian because, I mean, there's shit associated with that. But
I mean, what are you claiming that there is shit involved with a major fandom?
I know, right? Color me thunderstruck.
No, it's
Yeah.
Gee.
But yeah, it's kind of what you end up with.
I mean, yeah.
Best way to design an RPG map. Lock the boss door with 5 locks, each a different color. However, there is no blue key, and a red key unlocks all 5 locks. Yeah.
But yeah, I'm
/asshole design.
Yeah, for as much as I love Doctor Who, I'm hesitant to call myself a Whovian because Whovians are the people who are complaining that Doctor Who now has too many women and Arabs in it.
Honestly, there's real good and real bad sides. I have been rather exposed to a lot of what is going on, and there's been some issues specifically with the Wikia. For it, where it's run by people who are terrible.
Yeah.
And there was an argument basically saying that there shouldn't be a category map for queer characters in Doctor Who because something it's the future and homophobia isn't real. So in response, a bunch of people exploited a bunch of inbuilt rules that these so-called terrible moderators had put in place to put to basically justify having explicit imagery in one of the articles. Not for the purpose of actually keeping the imagery there, but for the purpose of exposing how the rules were terrible.
Right.
And it was this kind of like administrative battle that went on for a good 6 months. That eventually ended with the aforementioned page being reinstated. So semi-decent things can come out, but it is the case of it is a major fandom, which is, testament enough to itself to the fact that there will be bad things.
Yeah, see, my policy on Doctor Who is the same policy I have for everything I enjoy, and that is I don't pay any fucking attention to the fandom. I just enjoy the thing I enjoy. And if people are going to be shit, they're going to be shit out of my radar.
I just thought you were going to say is I do the same thing that I do with everything that I enjoy, which is not pay any attention to it.
Well, I mean,
it's that sure is one way of enjoying things. You do you. If you really want to enjoy things by ignoring everything, that's your personal choice.
I mean, that's not even all that far from the truth at this point. I really do love this structure you've put together.
Honestly, I'm so in love with this.
Yeah.
No, what? You just deleted the whole thing?
No. No.
It looked like you just pressed delete just
That's
after
what it looked
we
like to me.
mentioned that.
Oh, no, I did.
What? It was so cool, though. Oh,
wait, what has happened here?
Technicolor.
I think I can report a bug.
Huh.
What's the bug?
I'm terrible at design.
Oh.
There appears to be some missing blocks to this house.
Oh. Yeah, that sure is.
See, look, that's a perfectly natural, reaction when you leave anything exposed to sea air for extended periods of time.
If you generate some new blocks near there and then delete them, it'll probably reload the textures.
I guess there was a creeper who just happened to be passing through.
Creeper?
Oh, man.
So we back in the church. Got our homies praying to Jesus Christ.
Oh,
Jesus
no.
Christ. Oh, there's more issues.
That's why your granny ain't got no knees. Bitch, she can't pray to Jesus.
What on earth happened here? See, okay, it's starting to load back in.
No, it's not. What is
Oh
it?
no, it's not. It's just the lighting changing. Oh god. Right, mate.
It's being absorbed into the space between spaces.
But why is it what happened? Oh no, other buildings are suffering! No!
Oh, no.
Abort!
This is so sad.
Alexa, play Despacito.
We don't feel so good, Miss Loreley.
How about...
Well, it's official. That's the last time I feel real emotions on this channel. My emotions
My
have
work
been
here is
cancelled
done.
forever.
My word.
Ladies and gents, this is the moment you've waited for. If you want to reach those kids on the street, you have to write a song. It's a hip-hop beat. So I gave my rhyme on urban kick. My rhymes are flying, my beats are sick.
What are you replacing with rhythm there? I feel like that raises more questions than it answers.
That's why Jesus Christ is my builder.
So I gave my rhythm an urban kick. I think it's supposed to be.
Yeah, no, that makes more sense. See, here's the thing. The important thing that you are forgetting is that I am not in possession of brain cells. Because I am elderly.
So it just completely locked up on me.
Oh, is that what's happened?
It did! It fucking did!
Oh no.
Well,
I don't like that kind of thing.
I think closing out of it was what I needed to do. Let's see. Let's check on Fucktville over here.
Oh my word.
I sneezed on the beat and the beat got sicker. Oh. Yeah, it looks like it's fine. Oh my god, what is this cluster of birds? Why?
Well, I wrote this song for the Christian youth. I want to teach kids the Christian truth.
What would people say if they knew that I was Jesus freak?
If you knew that I was Jesus.
What would people do if they knew that I was Jesus? Look, my name is apparently Lindsay Christ.
Yeah? What if God was one of me?
Just a stranger, one of me.
Is this a reference? Am I supposed to be getting this?
There's a
Is
song
anyone in the
called...
chat getting this?
There's a song...
Most likely, yes.
There's a song that is like, what if God was one of us? What if God was one of us?
By Joan Osborne.
Just a stranger, one of us. I can't remember all of the lyrics, but I know that there's like...
Just a slob like one of us, just a
Yeah.
stranger on the bus trying to make his way home.
Trying to make his way home.
Ugh.
Anyway. Oh. Damn.
Man. God, that reminds me. Does anyone here remember Joan of Arcadia?
No,
anyone
well, I
remember
remember
what
it
now?
existing, but...
Yeah, they had the fucking, What if God is one of us for the opening theme. As basic, I forget the exact plot, but I think it was something akin to like Joan of Arc being reincarnated
Yeah.
as like
Oh,
as,
God.
as this young woman in this sort of like hipstery Northern California town.
Yeah, I know. I remember that.
God. I really do love the process of just seeing this be put together.
And like I said, you can get some really creative architecture with this.
Hell yeah.
I ended up on the Wikipedia page for Joan of Arcadia because I had no idea what you were talking about. That happens slightly more often than I admit.
Fair. I mean, that's just it. Like, I don't pretend to be plugged in to like what's currently trending. Usually, my knowledge of pop culture is dated by about 20 or 30 years.
Again, bold words for a reviewer.
Yeah, I fully admit that.
See, I have to pretend to be hip and happening with the kids, because if I'm not, then I have no personality.
That is not true.
That's the one thing that the one thing I bring to this dynamic is being the young person.
Listen.
Not really, no.
Otherwise, I'm just more bully bait. Let's be real.
Listen, we bully everyone in our streams.
Yeah, that's true.
You're
But,
not special.
You don't have anyone quite as regularly as me.
I mean, if Gab's here.
I was gonna say, even if Gab isn't here, we proceed to bully her out of call and in the campaigns.
True.
Yeah, that's fair.
Go away, birds. This isn't for you.
Along with her boyfriend.
This one isn't for you. This one isn't for you. You can't take it just because you want to. I this with my goose bills.
What?
I think they're referencing when Penny was playing Untitled Goose Game.
Yeah. Sorry.
Wait. Oh my God! Look, they made a little clothesline.
Oh.
They automatically generated a clothesline that you guys can't see yet, but you'll see in a second.
I saw it
for a second.
Yeah.
There you go.
That's really cool.
And like you can get like the telescopes, for example. They create those. Oh my God! Where did this come from? What's with the crane? Oh my God! That is so cool.
It is. Like again, all those like tiny little details, like in the fucking binocular stand.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Well, I mean, I guess it's binocular stand. That's more correct. That's more create.
Yes. Yes. But yeah, I do love all the little flourishes they put into this game.
Ooh.
Understandable. Why would you destroy the building?
I'm not.
John in chat said, "Destroy it, destroy the building."
Oh.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Easy there, Loki.
They can't descend properly from that house. They use the train as an elevator. I mean, you know, whatever floats your goat.
Excuse me. I'm sorry. Excuse me. What?
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 I said whatever floats your goat.
Right. Excuse me, child. What do you mean by that?
Is that not a thing? Do you all not say whatever floats your goat?
I mean, it depends on the region, I suppose.
Depends on the size of the region.
It's just a very whatever floats your boat, but with goats instead.
Depends on the size of the goat.
This is the weirdest fucking apartment complex.
I know, I love it. I love the... Oh, go ahead.
My family cannot comprehend this, but I have said that one of my my lifelong fears is living forever in a square house. Like, why would you want to live in like a house that is perfectly square when you can live in something that looks so
Hey
like this?
Hey, it's hip to be square.
Hey, high five.
It's hip to be square.
So hip to be. God, that's another one we'll have to explain, isn't it?
It's hip to be square.
It's hip to be a square.
It's hip to be square.
Oh yeah. I guess I'm primarily thinking of the one that was from Sesame Street. But yeah, basically a square is it was a term basically alluding to
I know
someone
what
not
square is, as in someone being not cool.
yeah, and so basically that song was, to my understanding, put out to encourage people to not give in to like peer pressure and say it's okay to be a square.
It's okay to not necessarily be one of the hip young kids. Also, I love Huey Lewis.
Huey
Did you
Lewis
see?
and the news?
I'm sure that you did. Yeah. I'm sure that you did, Griffin. Did you see that fucking American Psycho parody that had Weird Al with Huey Lewis?
I did not actually.
Oh, okay. Can you actually type, like, in our DMs, like, just make a note of Huey Lewis, Weird Al, American Psycho, just so I can remember that for later? Anyway, if you haven't seen it,
in this Wikipedia article.
well, I meant our DMs, but sure,
Okay, yeah,
that also
I'll
works.
put that there, too.
Rip. I guess I
Just
get to see it
to
now.
make sure it gets across.
So, if I've never actually seen American Psycho itself,
Nor I.
but it does look interesting. I'll say that, especially with the implications of it. Basically, this is what's rotting on the inside of capitalism and corporate culture and all of that stuff. But there's a scene in there right before the main character, the protagonist, is about to kill a man in his apartment, getting him really super drunk and laying down, I think, was it that he was laying down newspaper in the place? I know that he put on like a an actual like rain slicker kind of thing.
Oh wait, now this. Okay, because when you said American Psycho, I was thinking of American Horror Story.
No.
Very different.
Yeah.
And the thing is that in the original, in that scene, the main character is talking about, have I ever talked about Huey Lewis and like he was talking about a specific, and the news and this particular album, and he's ranting about this in that like, that fake tone of like, that commercial tone of, I love this, and if you look at this analysis, like I don't remember the exact words. So having Huey Lewis doing, have you seen American Psycho? And he did like his version of it while getting Weird Al drunk, laying
I
newspaper
remember this
down.
now.
Yeah, but they mimicked it goddamn perfect. The only thing that was ultimately different was the as opposed to talking about Huey Lewis and the news in a particular album, it was talking about American Psycho.
Yeah, this is all coming back to me now. I do remember seeing that, actually.
And if you touch me like this... Anyway.
Show us on the building where you were touched.
Anyway.
Anyway.
Are you okay?
You good,
Alex?
Alex?
What? Me? Physically or emotionally?
Yes.
I sure am doing.
So
Sorry, I lightly dissociated for a hot second. I'm good.
That's okay.
Understandable.
Honestly, I dissociate... Well, actually, I have legitimately dissociated before. It is weird.
Yeah, it's in the name.
Yeah, it's not really a. I don't know, not to, again, soapbox for a hot second, but I'm gonna soapbox for a hot second.
Go ahead.
I really take issue with the fact that the phrase dissociation has kind of fallen into public lexicon of just people using it to describe zoning out.
Yeah.
Because it's so different, and it's not the same, and it's not a pleasant experience.
Yeah, it's not pleasant. It really is. Like, again, I don't even dissociate on the regular, but I have done it before. And it is really fucking weird to, say, for example, forget that you exist for a minute.
Yeah.
And then come back and you don't remember where you just were. Kind of thing. Like, or even just like you don't remember what was going on that put you in the place that you are. And like it's not even saying that you moved anywhere, but just literally your brain transports elsewhere and comes back, and it's like, wait, what am I doing here? You haven't moved from prior to dissociation.
Yeah, like the closest I've ever gone to that was when I was like, it was after I'd broken my arms and I was being examined, and I had like a 10-second period of like just tunnel vision and sort of cognition going out the window.
That's even still not quite the same thing.
Yeah, exactly.
It's an approximation. One of the best ways that I've been able to describe it to people is when you've had a really weird dream, and in your dream you go to sleep, and then the second that you wake up and you're kind of experiencing that layer of disconnect, whether you're not quite sure what happened and what's going on is real.
Yeah. I will say, John, it's not quite like your brain goes on autopilot, because again, that's much more like zoning out.
It's possibly even quite the opposite.
Yeah, it's that your brain like kicks into it shifts into a completely different gear. And so, like, like I said, it is difficult to describe an absence of being.
Yeah.
Because it's like, how do you describe not being there for a second? And it's usually like, when that happens, I'm often usually thinking about whether or not reality itself is real. And things like, it's kind of hard to even explain the brain process behind that, but it's like, how can we tell what reality is? Is there such a thing that solidifies us in reality? Can we truly be grounded, or is it all some sort of illusion? Is there truly a singular identity, or is it simply a single mass? I mean, honestly, here's the thing. We are tiny little ghosts piloting flesh mechs. So we do not exist, actually. Our concept of us individually existing is actually simply the manifestation of our incredibly complex brains creating an identity to serve as the pilot.
Yeah.
But the pilot does not exist except as conjured by the brain.
I mean, that's just it. Like, there's... And even that... So, if I may, I'm going to go full neuroscientist here for a minute or so. Because like there's even a discussion in that, a sort of a borderline philosophy in neuroscience called eliminative materialism. And basically that dictates that consciousness and personality don't actually exist, and it's just a function of, you know, keeping the brain in operation and the organism as a whole alive. Yeah. And that for much as we believe we have sentient thought independence and free will, that's just horseshit. And that's just one way people look at it, basically from just an evolutionary standpoint. And I'm at the point where I'm not sure where I stand on this. I feel like I'm somewhere where we're in the middle, where it's like I'm not full eliminative materialism, because I feel like we do have free will and thought to an extent, but I feel like those also serve like a significant purpose, and it has to do with things like epigenetics and a lot of other factors that play into like how we absorb information.
But also, I will say, I mean, John Morrison, I would not make that joke just in general. That's still something separate from questioning reality, questioning singular identity, and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
It is a weird thing to experience, and like I said, I'm fortunate enough to not experience it often, and I don't think I've experienced it in the last few years, which is good. But like, existence...
It's something that a lot of people will experience at least once throughout their life.
Yeah.
But it's normally something that, in that case, will be triggered by trauma or something intensely emotional.
Yeah.
But for some people, it is a semi-regular occurrence that just kind of happens. It's I'm sorry.
No, it's fine.
I don't know. I haven't really had to explain this out loud a lot. But no, yeah. I have intense feelings on people conflating dissociation and just zoning out, because they're very different.
It's
Yeah.
like anything else that we have worked. It's similar, I would even say, in terms of a modern thing that happened within this current generation. The fidget spinners becoming toys and thus getting themselves labeled as toys to be taken away by teachers and stuff like that. And it's like, this literally defeats the purpose of them existing in the first place.
There were so many levels of good that came from that to almost immediately be conflated with so many levels of bad, because when they were first becoming like a popular fad, the immediate thought was,
Oh, it's normalizing
it's
it.
becoming more socially acceptable. That's great. But then that's immediately done with, oh, so it wasn't a problem with the objects themselves, it was a problem with the people using them. And then, of course, they were being used so much that they were being completely taken away from their original purpose, and then it became okay. It became suddenly really okay that people in positions of power would just, particularly teachers over students, would just ban the use of fidget toys.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just it. They became essentially appropriated by neurotypical people, and
Yeah.
because they were conflated to the point of being a fad toy,
If-
other neurotypical people in the position of power thought, oh, this is just like Pokemon cards again.
If
Well,
I
we
may,
know what
if
to
I
do with
may
this.
cut in for a second, I do want to address Ian Greer. You don't necessarily need to shut up. I will say this. I always use Lego as a fidget device. That's just it. We all have our things that, like, for me, I didn't have a fidget spinner or anything like that when I was growing up, but I did have, I had ADHD my entire life. I was only recently diagnosed with it. So what I did in order to keep my focus on what was happening in the lesson was I drew. I drew constantly in my notebooks, and I was, like, that's just it. Concentrating on drawing and putting together this plot actually meant that I could absorb what was being said by the teacher. And it meant that, like, whenever the teacher was like, what was I just talking about, Lindsay? And I'd be like, well, you were just describing the literature implications of this particular book. And, you were talking about how the character likely represented XYZ. And, like, the teacher never liked that.
It's a case of you end up getting punished for doing the right thing.
Yeah, and of course they're like, well, you're clearly not paying attention because you're drawing, and it's like, no, I'm paying attention because I'm drawing.
Yeah.
But things like that,
that also barrels down to a fundamental mistreatment of neurotypical people in education.
Yeah, and here's the thing, like,
Neurodivergent people, not neurotypical.
Yeah.
Sorry.
yeah, neurodivergent, because that's just it. As a neurodivergent person, it is. Wow, this is the neurodivergency crew.
It's the neurodivergency cast.
But it's things like that. It's like ADHD, for example, because within my generation especially, it became the hip thing to assign, to diagnose, and that's in quotation mark, kids who were not quite paying attention in school. So it became the thing that kids were diagnosed with for being hyperactive.
Yeah.
For those of us who genuinely have it, as opposed to the overdiagnosis of it, which in itself was a problem, it ended up creating the stigma of it's just inattentive children and not a legitimate problem that people have to deal with. And so it became this thing where people are like, oh God, I'm just being so ADHD now. I can't pay attention to anything. And it's like, oh my God, I want to tear not my hair out, your hair. I want to tear your hair out. How you don't use this. It's the same thing with, like, being. I feel so OCD right now. Oh my God, I'm so OCD about this.
I was just going to say, it's the same effect that happened with obsessive compulsive and with bipolar personality.
Oh my God, I'm so bipolar. Like, I was so happy 5 minutes ago, but, like, now I'm super sad. And it's like,
you're bipolar. You're just a bitch.
And here's the thing. I was also, because that's how mass media treated a lot of these things and diagnoses, and that's how it was perpetuated through things. I, unfortunately, for the longest time as a kid and in my early teens, was one of those people who believed that depression wasn't a real thing. It was just people not being able to get over sadness.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, that was actually something, I do remember a lot of, like, I remember actually, there was a friend of mine, and I haven't spoken with this person in a long while. It's just one of those you kind of fall out of touch with some people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But this person was saying how she'd lived her entire life thinking that depression basically wasn't real. It was that people were choosing to be unhappy because whenever she was sad, she could say, all right, I'm not going to be sad about this anymore. I'm going to focus on happy things and I'm going to make myself happy. You know, the fake it till you make it kind of mentality. Yeah. And she, you know, that worked for her. So she couldn't understand why people with depression couldn't do that. Yeah. And then she got cancer. And the treatment of that ended up fucking with her hormones. Yeah. And then after she was in recovery, after that was in remission, she would get depressed. And then she would try to stop being depressed. She would do the same thing, but it wouldn't happen for her. And it clicked in that moment of, oh, it's not a choice that these people are making. Yeah. It's not a choice. Believe me, if I had a choice about whether or not I could be happy or if I'm just going to... Okay, this is complicated by psychology because psychology is complicated.
Can attest.
People with depression are not making the choice to be depressed. Yeah. There is something to be said about learning how to cope with mental illness by working around it, getting healthier coping mechanisms, and even if it doesn't chase away the times where you are unable to be happy, if you learn, for example, like if I get some sleep, if I drink some water, or if I just take some time to remind myself this mood will pass in time. It might not be in the next few hours, it might not be in the next couple of days. Sometimes that happens, but eventually the lowest period will pass. Mm-hmm. If you let yourself have the negative emotions for a period of time, knowing that it's going to pass, it becomes a lot easier. So there's a sort of, you don't choose to be happier, you choose to cope.
Yeah.
This definitely, with things like depression and anxiety, it is a massive part of quote unquote solving the problem is figuring out how you personally need to deal with it, and that varies massively from person to person.
Exactly.
Absolutely. And so, speaking as someone who and I apologize for cutting in, but speaking as someone who technically works in the field of healthcare and psychology, because I'm a behavioral therapist, it is very important to recognize that, like, yes, there are things from a behavioral standpoint you can do to sort of lighten the load when it comes to dealing with these things, but ultimately, it's not necessarily, it's not going to make the quote-unquote problem go away. And I say quote unquote because a lot of diagnoses have the stigma of being just inherent issues, and because of that, a lot of people who receive a lot of neurodivergent diagnoses are sort of ostracized and depicted as monsters. So I really want to stress that point. But like having like a series of behavioral things you can keep in mind in tandem with other things like medication, speaking to people that you trust, it can definitely lighten the load. It's not one of those things that ever really goes away, quote unquote.
But if you manage it, the way that I kind of visualize it for myself, for example, it's not, you're always going to have a box, and because of the way that your brain works, when you're dealing with depression and when you're dealing with anxiety, sometimes everyone has a box that is their brain. And for the most part, they have, like, you have a way of it being organized, and for every person, the way that you organize your box is different. But for me, a lot of other stuff gets jammed in there to the point where if I don't constantly rearrange things, if I don't manage, every time I put something in the box, it adds up, and then it eventually overflows. And when it overflows is when I have an emotional breakdown. And when that happens, I have to do more to cope with it after the fact, as opposed to dealing with it on the spot. Or dealing with it, managing it over time. And when it overflows, it often creates a larger crash psychologically for me than if I had been managing it the entire time.
Yeah.
The thing is that that's not an easy thing to do, and it's one of those, you can't tell someone to just do it. You really, I wish that it were just as simple as, because it sounds condescending when you have fought against your own brain for a long period of time and someone comes along and tells you, well, if you just focus on it, or if you just let the feelings go, it sounds condescending because it's like, oh, you think I didn't try? And it's like, believe me, as someone who has fought through this, and you're right, it's not easy. It is not something that just happens. There is a degree of you have to consciously choose to use coping mechanisms to deal with it. And that is the hard part, because I know, especially early on in getting medication, my current round of medication, I was recognizing what would cause me to spiral, for example. And it would take, especially with ADHD, there's a reason why depression is very comorbid with ADHD, or rather ADHD is comorbid with depression, because there's something called rejection-sensitive dysphoria. So this is a fun thing. I think that it also affects people who are on the spectrum.
Yes, on the autistic spectrum, yeah.
And it's one of those things that's hard to explain. If I perceive, not even necessarily the reality of it, but if I perceive that I'm being rejected or left out or something along those lines, or if I perceive that someone does not like something about me, which saying it out loud does not sound good, right? Because a lot of people, if you are neurotypical, saying, if someone says anything critical about me, it just makes me upset, that just sounds like you're making an excuse for something.
Yeah.
But
also, congratulations, you don't like being criticized like every other person.
Most people do not like being criticized. When I face the possibility that someone that I care about or someone that is in my social circle doesn't like something about me, I become, it's when I say dysphoria. Dysphoria is a very difficult thing to explain to people who don't experience it. Mm-hmm. I become uncomfortable with my being. I am so pained by this prospect. I become, I hate to say a different person, but I am so consumed by this fear of being rejected or being hurt that my mind snaps to a completely different set of behaviors, because I am so, I begin loathing myself.
It's just a layer of disconnect.
Yeah.
And the discomfort with being, it is so hard to cope with in the moment that it's happening, that it does get overwhelming. A lot of people will find themselves in the moment of, especially, I can't speak to, for example, body dysphoria. I've largely, dysphoria. Gender dysphoria is I think the most common dysphoria that a lot of people experience, but the rejection-sensitive dysphoria is if I feel that I'm losing a friend or that someone is pulling away from me, I will become not just passive-aggressive, I will lash out, I will be so hurt that I will start to basically I'm going to preemptively cut myself off from this person before they genuinely pull away from me. I resign myself to being rejected because I already now loathe everything about myself, so of course no one would ever like me. Now, these are common trains of thought for people. If you're depressed, you know what I'm talking about. The specific dysphoria is that I can't describe the physical sensation because it is such, in itself, an indescribable thing.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not something that's easy to put into words.
Like, I feel dread in my stomach, and it's sort of like simultaneously physically burning as well as being weighted down. Like as if there's an intense gravity and intense pressure on me, like physically. And when that kind of thing happens, in the past, especially completely untreated, I have gone on to not be a great person. Yeah, you think I haven't tried that? That's the first thing I tried, exactly.
Sorry, it's just a slight aside on that. Recently, I got a lovely text message from the birth giver, and she was let me know of she was saying, oh, there's a few things that I know you've been dealing with depression lately, red as my whole life, but and I found a few things that you might find interesting. And she linked me to the NHS front page of dealing with low mood, and it's kind of like that. It kind of comes to like that because it's the split feeling of, it's nice that you're taking an interest, but it's insulting that you think that I didn't look there first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when it comes when it comes to dealing with it, it is an overwhelming feeling. So instead of me guilting myself for having that immediate sting, that immediate feeling of dysphoria, what I do is, knowing what it is, knowing how it gets triggered, and knowing that it does eventually lift, when I start to get into that self-destructive pattern of behavior where I start telling myself, you may as well cut yourself off from everyone, no one likes you, etc., 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 when that train of thought starts, I take a moment and kind of step a little bit outside of myself, and I say, yeah, you're hurt right now. And maybe it's true. Maybe no one likes you. And this is what I do in terms of building a bridge back to a less toxic mental space. Maybe it's true, but you know that when you get like this, within a day or so, or even a few hours, you don't feel like this. If you give yourself a couple of hours to really and truly decide whether or not this is how you feel, you more often than not are able to come back from it and feel better later. And it doesn't mean that I don't experience rejection, that I don't believe that there are certain behaviors that, that other people do that sometimes do upset me for real. And I've had my own share of experiences of people where I thought I was paranoid, but no, actually there was shit going on behind my back, which makes it a lot harder when you're already psychologically in a paranoid space. But
it's hard to deal with the fact that you're being paranoid when your paranoia ends up being somewhat justified.
Yeah.
So a big part of this is that when it comes, especially when it comes to things like rejection-sensitive dysphoria, and this can apply to a lot of other diagnoses too. The main things to keep in mind are patience and discipline. And what that really means is, like, you have to have patience with yourself, because these are things that are recurring, and you have to have the sort of discipline to sort of take responsibility for, you know what, I know this is a thing, I know this is really getting to me right now, but I also need to step outside myself and try and remember this other point of context to help me deal with this.
So when someone like me says the simplified version of that, which is, try to take control of it a little bit, it's mostly figuring out what to say to yourself in those moments so that you buy yourself enough time for your brain to reset. Very often I'll say, well, you're hurt right now. Your hurt is justified. This person did say something that upset you, but the extent to which you are hurt, my brain, this is it, literally the thing that ADHD does in this particular case, and is common across, people who are on the spectrum, anyone who's neurodivergent often experiences, there is not a limit on the level of hurt that you experience. Like, there's the reasonable level of hurt that you could experience from someone saying something nasty to your face. And then your brain takes that reasonable level of hurt and then magnifies it, like as if someone has just come up, slapped you in the face, and declared you to be the biggest piece of trash that has ever existed. It's not a reasonable reaction, but it is the reaction. It's not just get over it. It's the brain literally will not let me feel this in a normal way. So I have to have the patience with myself and the discipline, as Griffin was saying, to kind of head that off and be like, okay, so, I have to manage it in the moment, which is hard. I'm not saying any of that's easy. It's not easy. It's still gonna hurt. It's still gonna suck, and you're gonna relapse. It doesn't go away, and it's a constant uphill Sisyphean battle, and it sucks. And I'm right there with you. No one deserves to have to deal with this on the intellectual level, whether it's being neurodivergent, whether it's being depressed, when you're dealing with any mental illness, where it's like, bipolar or BPD, whatever it is that you're dealing with, it is not a fight that you should have to fight. But if you do those little management things, if you do those little management things on a daily basis, if you take the time to just organize your thoughts and go, okay, this stacked up, and if I let this stack up further, it's going to cause a problem, it's going to drive me out of my own mind. I need to address this and reorganize this and repack my box. That daily maintenance, when I do it for myself, means that I have less times when it spills over and that I have to fight the bigger emotional pileup. So I make the conscious choice to do the small work to prevent it from becoming too big to deal with. So it's not just I consciously just choose to be happy, but I choose to have hope that I can have normal days.
Yeah, and I will also add that the matters of patience and discipline also apply to people in the life of someone who may be neurodivergent, whether it's like friends, family, loved ones, people who are in their lives and are ready and willing and want to do their part to help support this person. The main things to keep in mind are patience, because again, this is something that will be a recurring thing, and discipline to actually step up and show that support even when times are rough.
And that's just it. Like, no one is even saying that it's... I know, and I'll say this every time. I know that I'm not easy to deal with when I'm in a bad state of mind. I know that if I'm put on the spot and I have to react in the moment to something, I know that I very often will go to a negative headspace, and I will do and say things that later on I'm like, this was a little bit too far. Now, I also have the patience with myself to say, like, here is the genuine thing that you reacted to that went too far. Someone said something that genuinely did knock you into this, and it's okay to be hurt by what they did or said. That's a normal thing, that when someone says something like, when someone disparages you about something, it's okay to be a little hurt. It's okay to actually be kind of a lot hurt sometimes, because that's a normal human response. When I say that the hurt gets exponentially bigger than it needs to be, I'm saying that it's the same level of offense as if everyone in the world literally simultaneously said you are nothing. That's the degree of hurt. It's not just one person who has rejected a small thing. It becomes everyone in your life that you care about suddenly hates you. That's the level of hurt that comes when you're dealing with rejection-sensitive dysphoria specifically. Again, this all sounds like a lot of excuses. And to an extent it kind of is. It's not an excuse for it so much as it is an explanation as to why this happens for people. And I'm not using it as an excuse. I have been working very hard to manage it so that I'm not lashing out at people, especially people that I care about. And it is a constant work. But it's not easy to manage. Neither is any neurodivergent trait. Well, any of the things that we consider to be inconvenient about being neurodivergent, I should say. Neither is dealing with mental illness, because again, you're fighting your own brain. Your brain is literally working against you. How the fuck do you deal with the very thing that shapes your identity deciding to misrepresent your identity to you?
Yeah.
How do you fucking deal with that? And the answer is day by day.
I will say, out of context, you're saying some real trans shit right there.
Uh-huh. I will say, I'm pretty sure that I'm cis. I've had, and I've even questioned it in the past. Well, I have some traits that I've traditionally associated with something that's a bit on the masculine side. Is this a possibility? And I'm not afraid to think of that kind of thing. But I do know pretty innately that I identify as the gender that I was assigned when I was born.
Yeah.
It's one of those things that I just know about myself. And because I just know that about myself, and not because anyone's necessarily told me that's how I should feel about it, I also understand, amazingly enough, that when a trans person of any gender tells me that they are not the gender that they were assigned, I believe them. I believe that they know themselves.
Yeah.
I believe that it's just one of those things that you just sort of innately know. And it can change. That's the other part of it. It can change your perception of yourself. You can explore different gender identities to see what clicks for you, to see if something else does manage to appeal to you. That's the point. You believe in yourself to figure it out, you know?
Yeah, like I think because like a family member, I talked to them about this a while back because I recently sort of came to terms with the possibility of myself being aromantic, and I was very concerned at the time. It's like, well, if I just say this, then that's sort of just I'm worried that I might be appropriating like an identity or a flag. If it turns out not to be the case. And they assured me like this is not something you have to stick with if you're not comfortable with. It can always change with time. And they themselves had dealt with, experimenting with, finding their own like sexual and gender identity. And so them assuring me of that, along with Lore, providing some assistance on that was a real big fucking help. And that even reminds me of this short I saw recently. Oddly enough, of all places, it was a stop motion feature using Godzilla figures that I think showed one of the most like pure, like
I've seen exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, just the most wholesome depiction of a trans kid coming out to their caregivers and the caregiver just embracing it that I've ever seen. Like it is just, I want there to be like more depictions like that where the caregiver doesn't question it. They just sit down, they have the discussion, and they're like, okay, I understand now. Thank you for telling me.
I'm going to start thinking about Guardians being good to their trans kids. I'm going to start crying.
Yeah.
This happens. I apologize for being incredibly personally invested in this conversation.
You're fine.
Yeah. I mean, I think we're speaking on this because I think we're all kind of, to some degree or another, personally invested in this conversation.
Yeah.
And that's just it. That's one of those, because you may remember.
That's not it's not to say that you aren't.
No,
Sorry, that coming out wrong.
Absolutely no. I look, literally just yesterday, I was listening to the soundtrack of Hadestown, and I was listening to Epic 3.
God, I really need to listen to Hadestown at some point.
You should. Excellent musical, excellent points that it makes. Tremendously beautiful and powerful songs. Epic 3. So the character of Orpheus in this is played by a countertenor and has the most beautiful high range I am almost ever heard. It is so rare to hear a real countertenor going into their countertenor range.
God, yeah.
And when they do it right, it is so beautiful. Like,
it's an experience.
And the person that they have in at least the original Broadway recording that I've listened to a couple of variations, but it is so fucking good. And I was listening to that and I was fucking crying because what he was doing was making this song about how Hades loves Persephone and loved her once upon a time enough to just, he could not put words to it. And it's one of those you realize, because he says almost right toward the start of it is like, and I know that he did because he's like me, a man in love with a woman. And he's comparing it to his relationship with Eurydice. And also, good night, Ragnar.
All right, take care.
You're probably not going to see this for quite a bit of time because lag. But, and it's this beautiful song where you hear him talking to Hades as well as talking to himself about how you get yourself so caught up in the work that you're doing, afraid of what you're going to lose, that you know that if you look up, you'll see that it's gone. And it's such a beautiful song. And I was like, I've never even dealt with that personally. And I'm fucking crying over it because this is beautiful. Feeling your emotions is good, as it turns out. And I was on a track before all of this. Griffin, do you remember what I was saying before the Hades Town thing? Sorry to make this all about me, or whatever it was.
I think predominantly, like, in terms of Hades Town, we were talking about...
No, it's before Hades Town.
Yeah, before Hades Town, we were discussing just, like, having, these depictions of, like, acceptance of, like, neurodivergence and...
Okay. What I was going to get into was actually... And Alex, you witnessed some of my brainstorming process for a character of mine.
Yes.
And initially I was talking about
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, I was talking about this tragic backstory of, this trans woman whose family could not accept her, and that's why she was shy. And I was like, you know what? How about instead of giving her a tragic backstory, she's just a trans woman going to college who's, a little shy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can be that, amazingly enough.
We've had enough tragic backstories.
Yeah, funnily enough, a trans person can just be a person going about their day and enjoying life.
And sometimes they find themselves supported by their family.
Yeah.
Increasingly nowadays, especially as information becomes more available, as we understand, because I remember, growing up, especially growing up in an incredibly conservative household, we shall say, I didn't understand trans identity in the slightest. I did genuinely think for the longest time, and I apologize for saying so, but this was where my mind was when I was, kid and teenager, that it was effectively, say, a man wearing a skirt. That is not what it is, but that's just...
No, you don't need to... I appreciate where you're coming from for that, but, to interject myself, I was, as a child, massively transphobic.
Yeah.
For me personally, it came from the fact that because I didn't have a strong grasp on gender, I couldn't understand why anyone else would enough to want to change in the sort of that kind of archaic language. But no, that's not something that you need to sort of sugarcoat. It's most people grew up in that kind of vein.
And it was over the years of listening to trans people and their experiences that I understood it a lot more. And especially when it was saying things like, it's just an inherent identity. You know it about yourself. It doesn't need to be questioned. I mean, identity, explore it, but it doesn't necessarily mean, there's usually a certainty to it. If the fact that you're questioning it in the first place, it's worth understanding. It's worth exploring.
And as I mentioned before, even after you've come to something you feel comfortable with, by no means should you feel restricted to stay to that. I mean, it's not something you have to necessarily make a dedication to if later down the line you decide, maybe this isn't exactly what I thought it was to me.
Yeah. But I will say that I was glad that I even had that revelation to myself that, you know what? I don't need to write the tragic backstory of a trans woman. That is not my experience. That is not my story to tell. What I want to do is be inclusive in this character development. I want to include this woman as a character and have it be represented that she is, like anyone else in this school, another character with a set of personality traits.
Yeah, and I'll also say for any aspiring writers out there, if you want to try and figure out a respectable way to include, marginalized groups of people, one idea is to ask them.
Yeah.
If you have anyone within your, circle of associates or friends, if you want to try and figure out a proper way to do trans representation or, indigenous or a person of color representation, ask someone who has lived with it and continues to live with it for a bit of perspective.
And admittedly, those people are not required to take you up on that, but frequently they will, because, people are happy to give that information, and
they're happy to have someone who wants to understand.
Yeah.
Generally speaking, I'll even say this, they're happy, first of all, ultimately, platform people who do have marginalized identities who are from marginalized groups. Let them write their books, write their stories, write their TV shows, because you get very interesting stories that way, told from the perspective of someone who has lived that life. So give them the chance to write those stories. If they choose to write the tragic backstory, it's from their perspective. They get to own it. Me, I will ask someone who is of a marginalized identity that I don't have, and I'll say, hey, I want to run this by you to see if this fits in with, you know, what I want to convey, or if I should change gears on this. But here's the thing. If you don't have someone in your immediate circle, if it's not easy for you to find someone to answer your questions about this, but you still want to include someone of a marginalized identity, include a person of that marginalized identity. Do not tokenize them. Have them simply be there.
Yeah.
Like I said, this character that I have created, this trans woman who is, I love her so much, and I really can't wait for you guys to get to know her better in time. I have, amazingly enough, I have quite a few trans friends that I could ask, but I was kind of like,
Hi.
Yeah.
Quietly says hi.
Hi.
I'm right here in Cool, y'all.
Yeah.
But like, honestly, what I just wanted to do on the spot was just have a character be there and just be another one of the students, like any of the other NPCs that I had created. And while I do hope that we get to see more of her story, I didn't want it to be a tragic one.
Yeah.
There are going to be plenty of characters in this campaign who have tragic backstories, but I don't want to be trying to write an identity that I do not have. Now, can I write a story about the marginalization of women? Absolutely. Can I write a story about the about being marginalized as a fat woman? Absolutely. I can speak on that with great authority, and I'll even say, because here's the thing, I got involved in a lot of this social justice warrior stuff because I went through bullying as a fat person growing up. And I'll say that because it was my point of entry of understanding what it feels like to be reduced in your humanity because of an innate trait that is not, that you can't just ignore. You know, I can't pretend that I'm not fat, you know? So it's because I understood that helplessness of people judging you before even speaking to you that gave me the understanding when Black people were talking about the experiences that they've had in a racist society. Or when I've had people who are neurodivergent telling me how it really sucks to have people condescend to them or treat them like lesser beings because they are neurodivergent. I can't tell you, you know, like how many times it's been eye-opening to be like, I know how this feels on my side of the bridge, so how does it feel on that side of the bridge? So it's like, we can have, there's this concept called intersectionality, where you have multiple axes that you can be discriminated against or disliked or liked for certain things, but I have privilege, for example, as a white person. I say that up front because I could be a Karen. I even had the haircut for a little while. And I can emulate that personality. I can absolutely be the Karen. But what I will do is I will be the anti-Karen. If I see a Karen pulling Karen shit in front of me, I'm going to come up and be like, excuse me, can I talk to your manager? Like, who let you be out here like this? Do you even...
That's just it. You use your powers for good rather than evil.
I try to. But, and it's one of those things, like, I've been seeing a lot more discussion lately, for example, about white women's tears. And it's like, at first I thought, you know, I don't like that because, again, my identity as a woman, I don't like it when my tears are described as being, you know, disingenuous. But then I saw example after example of white girls crying because of a minor inconvenience, or crying because someone of a marginalized identity was challenging them on something. And turning it into, why are you attacking me? It's like, they're not. They're stating that you said something that was offensive. That's not an attack. That's just a statement of fact.
Yeah.
And I think one of my favorite examples of this was, what is her name? I think it's like Julie.
I think I know who you're talking about.
She was a teacher in the 60s who, during the civil rights era, the previous civil rights era, who kind of was recognizing what was going on with black people in America. And so she actually put together this experiment that she has repeated over and over again into the modern day, where instead of by skin color, she divided people by eye color, saying that people with blue eyes were inherently less human than people with brown eyes. And she treated them exactly the same way that black people were treated and are treated in society. And a lot of the people who were white, who had never experienced that kind of discrimination before, were very upset. And they felt their humanity being broken down in just one day of being treated like that, Yeah. So...
try, your entire life.
Yeah, imagine if that was your entire life. And that was the point that I saw in this one video that she was making. Because it's like, you're upset because I did this to you for one day. And this girl, and like... Yeah. I understand on the one side being upset. I do, because I've been there. I've been upset when people have accused me of things that I didn't think I was doing until I thought about it and realized I was kind of doing that thing. And I need to stop that. I'm not talking about white guilt. I'm just saying my behavior as a white person needs to stop doing XYZ things. Yeah. And I watched this girl who got so frustrated with how she was being treated and cut off and, just not treated like a good person. She picked up her stuff and she stomped out of the room. And of course, this woman goes on with her lecture and this girl comes back. And the teacher interrupts herself and says, No, you don't get to just walk back in here. You chose to leave. That is a choice that many of the people in this room do not get to have. When they leave this room, they are still going to be black. They are still going to be brown. They are still going to be Hispanic. You chose to leave this room because you knew that out there you are a white person. You're not going to be treated that way. You chose to leave, so you don't get to walk back in here to sulk about it. And she was crying, and she was just absolutely, a mess over this treatment. And I'm just sitting there like, but she has a point. You walked out. And that is not a privilege that these other students have. So, white women do have the tendency to use our perceived delicacy, our perceived ingenue, fragility, to weaponize it against people that we don't like. And especially the people who are, kind of calling us out on our bullshit.
Another example that comes to mind is that one creepy woman who gave that one dude the Kubrick smile when he was posting some Black Lives Matter stuff on his own home.
Oh, God.
Like, yeah, you don't live here. I know the person who lives here. You don't live here. And she, again, gave that horror film
No.
Kubrick smile.
It wasn't even, I know what you're talking about. Yeah. No, what she even did was like, excuse me, is this your property? And he was like, why are you asking? Well, because, and it was this passive-aggressive thing that she kept doing the entire time, where she was like, well, because, I agree with the movement, that's fine and all, but, doing that, I don't agree with that. That is illegal. If that's not your property, what you're doing is wrong. And the guy said, okay, and, so thank you. Have a good day. He was like, all right, that's fine, because what it was that was his house.
Yeah.
And he said, it was something to the effect of, but you don't know who lives here. And she goes, actually, we do know. Or you don't know that I don't live here. We do know. We know the person who lives here. And she did this with, that fucking creepy smile. And she put her finger up to her chin like she was being a cutesy little thing. She tried to do the, I got you in a lie. She assumed, because she fucking thought she knew that this guy could not possibly live in this nice house. She fucking knew it, even though she was 150% completely wrong. That was his house. He lived there. And they tried to call the cops on him.
Yeah.
But, it was that moment of trying to say, of immediately claiming, no, you can't be the one who owns this place, so I'm gonna get you by saying I know the person who lives here, because that is a lie. It's the I know the owner thing.
Yeah.
That is what it
is. My neighbor
is.
worked at Nintendo.
Yeah, basically. I just realized I misplaced this. Just a smidge. But that's just it. Like, it's the I know the owner. I'm, the wife of. I'm the sister of. I'm the brother of, or whatever. Whatever excuse.
Friend of a friend.
Yeah, whatever excuse they want to come up with to say I know the person who lives here, and you're not that person, and they're wrong. It's that attitude, however, that leads to, for example, people calling 911 on people who are not doing anything actually illegal.
Yeah.
And that's a problem. I don't know if you noticed that that's a continuous problem here in the States.
A bit. I mean, not just in the States.
Well, yeah, around the world, but I'm just saying. So, we got onto a very interesting train of conversation here, although it does happen a lot with us.
I was gonna say, we tend to do that.
Yeah. But it's
this
interesting.
Is very off path of the course.
No. Yeah. I will say, however, that it is interesting to have this conversation on the 4th of July.
Well, I'd say now is as important a time as any to have that conversation.
Pretty much, yeah.
Oh, damn.
But it's... I don't like this. I don't like this at all. Sorry.
United States? Yeah, me neither.
Yeah, we're kind of full of shit that way. Anyway, I will say this. I do love the America that I grew up believing in. And this was during the 90s when there was a lot of actually progressive ideology that was being pushed. I mean, that's not to say that bad shit wasn't happening. We were, in fact, paving over it instead of actually addressing it.
Yeah.
But there was a lot of attempts to, like, there was actually an acknowledgement of things like, the Amazon disappearing on us. There was a lot of acknowledgement of systemic racism. There was a lot of progress, forward movement. And then 9/11 happened, and jingoism and pro-Americanism and nationalism and all of this other shit kicked up. And I gotta tell ya, it's a surreal thing to live in a completely alternate reality than the one that I grew up in.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the experience of white people learning about this shit.
It is. And that's just it. Like, it's hard to kind of be pulled into that reality, but, like, I believe in those ideals. I do believe in freedom. And for example, when I say I believe in freedom of speech, what I mean is, I believe in your freedom to say what you want to say within reason. If you say something that dehumanizes someone else, if you say something that hurts someone else, that's where you deserve to be called out on it, criticized for it, and told why this is a bad thing that you're saying this. And I would say that if it gets into this territory of hate speech, no, I don't think you should be allowed to say that.
Yeah, I mean, literally, hate speech is not protected under the Constitution.
Well, not under the Constitution, but...
Yeah, but I mean, again, the Constitution is not even a legally valid document anyway, so...
let's be careful about treading on that territory anyway.
I mean, literally, because it was established when another government was in place, it is not a valid document.
Either way.
Yeah.
I believe in ideals. I believe, first and foremost, about caring for the people in your life. And caring for the people that are not in your life. Remembering the humanity of those who do not share your lived experiences. And it's hard to do that. It is hard to step out of your own head and realize that there are different lived experiences from yours. But acknowledging that and admitting that and trying to move forward from that and trying to make the world a better place because you've learned this about yourself, these are all important things.
Yeah.
This is an interesting design. I actually like this. Anyway, sorry. I'm like, this house is actually turning out pretty cool. Anyway, It is hard. It is hard to realize that different experiences make up the whole of reality, and it's like it's easy to be like, I don't experience that, so they must be overreacting.
Yeah.
Because if the only time that you come into intersection with privilege is when other people are telling you, "Hey, I need rights too," then it's going to be a bit of a cognitive disconnect. That happens.
Yeah.
The important thing is the choice that you make, whether to recoil within yourself to go, well, I'm not like that, so why are you coming for me? Or to acknowledge the power that you have to actually step up and change that. So, I will say, this is technically early to dismount the stream from when I normally start at 5, but I got started a little early today.
Yeah, I was about to say.
I got started about 3 hours ago, and I did want to get started early because I wanted to fuck around in this and be productive. And I was like, if I'm going to be productive, I may as well do this live.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
And that's just it. Like when you do have a game that is less attention consuming as say Skyrim or things like that, and you can actually afford to when you get into like a set mode of creation like this, and you can afford to dedicate more time and energy and brain space to discussion, I think that provides a lot more opportunities for not only entertainment but also just talking about important shit.
Yep. So I think that what I'm even going to do, like, I am glad for those of you who tuned in today. I am appreciative of those of you who joined in the call, which is Griffin and Alex.
Always a pleasure.
Stop.
No.
Make me.
Bitch!
Ooh.
Oh my lord. Okay. Well, this has taken a direction. Anyway. But I think I am going to pretty much call it here. I don't know. I think next week will probably be a return to Skyrim. And I just realized that this was actually technically the first stream where we didn't end up talking about Modem for once.
Wild.
I mean,
Weird.
That's not true. We did discuss a certain element of Modem.
I suppose. But even so.
That was more talking about the other thing than Martin specific.
Yeah.
I mean, true, but we did discuss what is essentially the mascot.
I mean...
Why would you erase Scout like this?
Hey, fucker.
Oh my god.
There, I've acknowledged him.
Wow. Anyway.
I have power as a voice actor.
I want to thank all of you who came by today, who came by to watch. It was actually really nice to have y'all chatting. I know that we kind of got into a very serious conversation by the end of it. Not impossible with us. A lot of us in this call are people with deep thinky thoughts on the regular. And I realize that that's pretty heavy. I will say, I mean, this is kind of my usual wrap up at this point anyway, but talking points. Black lives still matter. And they're still not being addressed in the way that these issues are still not being addressed in the way that they need to. They're not making the news as much as they used to, which is a problem because a lot of the pressure that was put on these various groups of people, these various establishments, and government individuals, is no longer there because the coverage isn't there and the support is kind of dying out. I will say, if you have the opportunity to speak with others and let them know the movement still needs your support, we still need to be reporting on this, we still need to be showing our support for those who are going out to protest these things, and we still need to be going out in the numbers because things have still not been fixed. Things are still not, we still need to defund the police, or I would say abolish them. We still need to take care of so many things. We still need to address all of the instances of police brutality, police murder. These are things that are still not being addressed. Oh, it's been very lovely. Thank you, Aria. Yeah. And additionally... Oh no! It's the Social Justice Warrior Brigade! Okay.
Wait, is that me? Sorry, could you hear that?
For once, it's not me.
Yeah. It's all good.
Yeah, my new house is on a street, so
Ah,
On
I
the
see.
street? Our house
kind of. Because
in the middle of the
shop.
street.
Hmm.
Um, anyway, wear a fucking mask.
Yes.
Please.
I've emphasized this before. I had a scare a couple of weeks ago. We're doing okay at this point, but wear a fucking mask. I don't care if your government reduces restrictions. If you are in the UK or in the US, oh, thank you, Zach.
Much
Thank you,
appreciated,
Zach.
man.
Appreciate it a lot, actually. But if you're in the UK and America especially, but just in general, until this pandemic is legitimately wiped out, and we have a vaccine for it, wear a mask going out, please. Yeah. Please wear a mask. Like, I don't even care if you are in a country where it has gone down. Please continue to wear a mask.
Yeah.
It is so vitally, but y'all in the Americas, please fucking... Okay, the Americas, the United States, please wear a mask if you have to go outside. Don't go out, please. It is unfathomable to me that you would still go out. Well, okay, it's not completely unfathomable. I do know that the reason for it is because it's actually kind of scary to think that there's something that we can't control, and we want to control it. And so when someone says it's all clear, you can go back to work, we want to believe that that means that the threat is over, but it's not.
And I will also say that not everyone is in a position where they can get things delivered to where they live, and so they may have to occasionally get groceries or things like that. But if you do have to, please do protect yourselves and wear masks and all that.
Well, it's not even just protecting
yourself and protect the people around you.
Yeah, wearing a mask isn't actually about protecting yourself. Like, what it is that it will reduce your chances by about 30%, which is a good thing. It'll reduce your chances of getting coronavirus, this COVID-19, by about 30%. But what it is that if you have it but aren't showing symptoms of it, you're not passing it on to other people. The reduction is about 70% in that instance. And it's not going to be perfect. There's really no way to perfectly reduce your ability to transmit it, like 100%. That's not something that we can really do just yet. We do need to work on actually getting this vaccine out there. We need to work on rebuilding our herd immunity to this kind of thing. But until that happens, wear a mask, stay indoors, continue social distancing, because some people might get it and they'll be fine, or fine. Some people will get it and they'll recover and they'll go on with their lives. Many people who get it who were healthy beforehand end up having side effects long after the official virus has run its course. A lot of people deal with side effects, physical health difficulties, and new disabilities as a result of having COVID-19. And then there are those like me who, if we catch it, we die.
Yeah.
And again, that's not an exaggeration. That is not hyperbole. If I get this because of my health situation being what it is, I will not survive it. Which is why I have a personal stake in telling you guys wear your fucking mask.
Mm-hmm.
We have to wear masks at work, but so many people have their noses hanging out, again defeating the purpose. Look, you get used to wearing a mask. It's a little hard at first, but once you get used to wearing the mask, it will not feel like it's suffocating you that much. But, like, it's scary, and I get it wanting to pretend that it's not still scary. Like, I understand that, but for the sake of surviving, wear a mask. Please.
Yeah.
So, all of this is all the serious stuff. Now, back on to the pleasant stuff. I want to thank you guys who came out to watch today. I know that this has been one heck of a stream. Very serious and very dark stuff at the end there. But things are continuing to move in an upward direction for me. I've got some good things coming up on the horizon. I am very excited to get some new content out to you guys, hopefully starting next week. Content for, like, Sirenia Studios, as well as content for this channel coming up that might actually have some supplementary stuff going up on Sirenia Studios.
Mm-hmm.
I am very looking forward to bringing the D&D campaign that I'm running as DM onto my channel. That's going to be fun. And just in general, like, thank you for continuing to support me, whether you're doing it in chat with the donations, with the purchasing of super chats and all of that, or you are doing it through Patreon, or whether you're, chipping in on Coffee, which, again, if you see the link on screen, it's another way to be able to, help support me in doing what I'm doing. None of this is obligatory, obviously. Yeah. This is, if you have the means and it's not going to knock down things that you need for your life, it helps me, but I'm not going to demand it out of people. I'm not going to extort you guys. Like, give me money and then I'll give you things. But I'm not going to put my content behind a paywall. The only content that I will put behind a paywall are things like behind the scenes things or concept art or things along those lines. To that effect, or not even to that effect, that aside, even just coming in to comment, watch the videos that I post to the channel, whether it's live or afterwards, these things do mean a lot to me. The classic, if you like my content, like, comment, and subscribe. Again, that's all the stuff that you gotta say to remind people of, because of the way that YouTube works, and it is not the greatest platform in the world, but it's kind of the only one for right now. But it does help out your favorite creators if you do those things, or you encourage other people to like, comment, and subscribe, etc., etc. Thank you guys in call for joining me. It's always nice to have you joining in for commentary and things like that.
Well,
again, always a pleasure.
I will wish you a happy 4th of July in the sense of, I do hope that we start seeing true change and true independence from the way that we have been living in this country. I hope that this will mark a turn in being able to have pride in this country. I will say also, here's another thing. If you are of voting age, register to vote. And vote in November. I understand the myriad reasons for not wanting to vote. I understand the myriad reasons of not wanting to have to vote for Biden when it comes to that. I understand the myriad of reasons not wanting to play into this system as it exists, but please, please, for the love of all that is divine and mundane, vote. And vote not Trump, please. I would say vote Biden specifically, not because you support him and what he represents, because I find that man deplorable too. Believe me, I find him deplorable. We're not being given a choice. But of the options between a man who is corrupt and doing terrible things and a man who is literally sending the military after his own citizens, I would rather go with a man who's doing deplorable things that might even be socially pressured to stop doing those terrible things. So, please vote. Please stay inside. Please wear masks. Please continue to support Black Lives Matter. And please continue to watch my content on YouTube. Okay. Legitimately, I do hope that you guys are safe and as happy as you can be. And I look forward to seeing you, hopefully. Yeah. View it more as just kicking Trump out. I agree, Shakarian. I do wish you happiness, and I look forward to hopefully seeing you guys next week. I don't know if I'll probably be returning to Skyrim at that point, and Gab might be able to finally join us again. Be nice if she can. But in the meantime, I'll see you guys next week.
Take care, everyone.
Bye, friends.
Bye-bye.